Yeah.
That's it. And you can't be the best ever anything without winning stuff. You can't compare this Arsenal squad to teams that have won. I think of every every City squad under Pep that has actually backed it up by winning things.
What have Arsenal do?
But it's an if. You can't come out and say that now when they've won zero. They've won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
We will see come May what happens. But even if they do win a couple of trophies, is that the best ever squad assembled? No. Have you looked at Barcelona under Pep Guardiola? Have you looked at Real Madrid squads over the years? I
think man for man.
Bringing on Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli, to me, doesn't equate to the best ever squad.
But they've got probably 25 top players. They had to let Ranieri go on loan.
But that was the wrong decision.
I know, but
that was the wrong decision.
I think I have to sort of agree with Pierce.
It's the best ever.
Yeah, because of
in world football,
no, because of quality and numbers. That's what I mean. They've got two teams.
You're talking about right now.
Right now, yeah.
Comparing that to teams that we've seen in the Premier League. I saw the 2010-11 Champions League final. Carlos Puyol was on the bench for Barcelona, as was Thiago Alcantara.
Yeah, but did they have 25 top players?
But I'm talking about the Arsenal squad. That Man United squad was ridiculous. The players they had on the bench.
I don't think they had 25. I'm talking about the quantity of players.
So do you think the Arsenal squad now is the best ever assembled in world football?
For numbers, for top numbers.
No, we're not talking about...
How did it all come crashing down for Wales so suddenly? In his first tenure in charge, Warren Gatland built a dynasty, taking young guns and turning them into giants, not just for Wales, but for the Lions as well. 4 Six Nations titles, 3 of them Grand Slams, and in 2019, a world #1 ranking. But then, a record drop-off, golden generation all but gone, a first wooden spoon for 21 years, and 14 losses on the bounce. Why? Perhaps the main reason was poor spending. During Gatland's first tenure, the WRU committed its funds to world-leading training facilities for the national side, but underinvested in the club scene. Despite Ireland raking in similar overall revenues, its union would be committing up to £30 million a year more than Wales to their provincial clubs. In 2023, a report found the WRU had flitted away an £84 million TV deal on the purchase of a Cardiff hotel and a zip wire above the Principality. At the same time, the regional budgets and salary caps were being slashed, and they're still being cut. Add this to a distinct lack of player pathways when compared to the private school-fueled setups in Ireland, Scotland and England, the continuous rise of football's popularity and generational talents going elsewhere. It all meant when Abby Tierney became CEO, having never worked in sport before, she had a mountain to climb. And yet the beauty of sport, of course, is it isn't played in the boardroom, and sometimes it takes surprisingly little for the narrative to shift almost overnight. When Gatland left for the second time, interim coach Matt Sherratt only had 3 training sessions before Wales' next game, but the team looked unrecognisable, and all he did was pick players in the right positions and provide a bit of attacking structure. Suddenly, Wales were back pushing Ireland to the wire. As Gatland's first tenure taught us, for Wales' success to be sustainable, once the books are balanced, the regions need more money, salary caps need boosting, player pathways need investment. But it doesn't have to mean Wales lose every game in the meantime.
Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me this Thursday evening it is the former Lioness striker Lianne Sanderson, and we have a packed 3-hour show coming your way. We're going to discuss the Carabao Cup semi-finals and the future of a couple of the managers involved as well. That's Pep Guardiola and Eddie Howe. Will they be at their clubs at the start of next season? We'll get Lianne's thoughts, plus we'll get yours too. 03 717 223344. That's the number to get involved. We're also going to look ahead to the weekend's Premier League action, including a basement battle between Leeds and Forest. That one's tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT. We're going to preview a massive weekend of sport, including the Winter Olympics, the WSL, and the Super Bowl, of course. And we'll be asking for who you think the player of the season is so far. Why not share your thoughts with us? 03717 223344. That's the number to call us on. That's the number to WhatsApp us on. And we would love to hear from you. This is a show for you. So get involved here on Kickoff on talkSPORT. Lianne, how are you? Happy midweek birthday.
Thank you, Natalie. I'm doing good, thank you. Yeah, we were talking about my adventurous train journey.
I was about to say, do you want to get it out?
No, I don't want to get it out, but everyone's been bantering me about my horrific train journey since the turn of the year, train cancellations, and I didn't say anything.
You didn't. I asked.
And you just said to me, how was it? I said, don't ask. But yeah, I'm doing good. I've had a really good birthday. Last night I was on a judging panel for the London Football Awards.
Lovely.
That's going to be revealed soon.
Yeah, nice.
So that'll be good. And I'm looking forward to tonight's show. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you. Really, really well. What did I do? I've been up at Centre Parks, have a uni girls reunion up there, which was a lot of fun. I think we haven't been all together for about 2 years. So it was really...
Sure they weren't ready for you at Centre Parks.
No, well, we were actually quite mild. Really. We're getting on, you see, Lianne. And then yesterday I had a bit of fun at Aston Villa's training ground.
Explain.
I was just doing a little bit of work up there with some of their players and interviewing some of them ahead of the World Cup and also doing little quizzes with them. So it was Victor Lindelof, Douglas Luiz and Ross Barkley as well.
Nice.
It was nice. I've never been up to the Villa training ground. I do geek out.
A training ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Love all that.
It feels like you're always in a space you shouldn't be, though.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Even when I used to go to Arsenal, we train at the training ground. Like, you were just kind of like, oh, can I go there?
Yes.
Can I go there?
Yeah. Am I allowed to look in there?
Restricted areas.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of that. But it was great fun and very hospitable, I must say. The Aston Villa gang that were greeting us, they were brilliant. So we had a lot of fun there. Right. That's how busy we have been. Let's now look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So the semi-finals of the League Cup have now been concluded, and we now know it'll be Manchester City against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final.
Tonight, it's Chelsea trying to do what not many have managed this season, stop the Arsenal.
Kai Havertz to win it on the night, round the keeper, side puts it in. Arsenal are at Wembley. That is that. It is Arsenal's night. They've won by a goal to nil with almost the last kick of the game. Manchester City on Newcastle away. And it's Arsenal who will be there.
It bounces off of Omar Marmoush, deflects behind the goalkeeper, and Manchester City lead. But it might come back to Marmoush. He drops out of the sky, he heads it down, and that is a clinching goal for Manchester City. Might come back to Reinders! Guardiola has his sights set on a fifth Carabao Cup triumph, and to do it, they have to overcome a familiar foe. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal on March the 22nd under the arch at Wembley.
So, from the second legs this week then, Arsenal beat Chelsea by 1-0 to win the tie 4-2 on aggregate. And then Manchester City, well, they really got the job done in the first leg, having taken that 2-0 lead to the Etihad yesterday, and they beat Newcastle 3-1 on the night, 5-1 on aggregate as well. So what did you make of those semi-finals, Lianne?
If I'm being perfectly honest, I thought they were quite underwhelming. I think the Arsenal-Chelsea game was. But fair play to Arsenal. I love the fact they celebrated, as soon as the final whistle went. I feel like Arsenal are often criticised quite heavily. Maybe sometimes rightfully so, but at the same time, they've, for me, had a fantastic season. I think it's easy to say when you don't support them. I understand why Arsenal fans are getting a bit nervy, as we get closer towards the end of the season. But, I thought they should have had the tie wrapped up from Stamford Bridge. I thought they could have had it wrapped up there and they should have been won about 3 or 4. But, I thought last night's game was a weird one as well. Fair play to City. I think both nights, both teams that won deserve to go through, obviously. But I don't know, the goals were weird, weren't they? Like Marmoush's goals were weird. It was just a weird night. And I felt like Newcastle last year obviously won this competition. For them to then go out at this point, and obviously Eddie Howe's come under a lot of fire, a lot of pressure. But I do think it's going to be a really, really good final.
Do you think?
I do. I do feel it.
We do hype these things up and sometimes they don't deliver.
I know what you mean. And I think the fact that these are the top two sides, Arsenal should go on to win the league. City know how to get the job done. And Pep Guardiola is like a genius at that. And I know there's been a lot of talk about Mikel Arteta being at City all the time. That's constantly spoken about. And Arsenal have gone out of semi-finals recently in the last few years. Like, they've got this awful statistic where they've lost the last 5 semi-finals or something like that. Like, so, you know, Arsenal's still in for the quadruple. Bentley was just having banter with me before. Like, he was like, I'm lifting every trophy, like 4 times. Do I think Arsenal win the quadruple? No.
That's
But
very difficult, as we know, to do that.
I do think that, you know, I think they'll win the Prem. I think Champions League is also within their grasp as well.
But as you say, the players were all celebrating after that result at the Emirates. I have no issue with that. Why wouldn't you? You're getting to a final. And when you bear in mind, it's their first major final, in 6 years? I think it is. So how significant is it to get to that final for Arsenal? Like you say, they've overcome now the hurdles of semi-finals.
Yeah.
Are in touching distance of getting their hands on a trophy, which they haven't had for quite a while.
I come from a place that a trophy's a trophy. You know, I think when it's been the League Cup in previous years, up until last year, we saw what that meant to the Newcastle fans. You know, how much, I think it depends on what club you support. But for me, like, a trophy's a trophy at the end of the day. And what's good about this one is it's so soon.
Yeah.
You know, when I say so soon, I know Pep's come out today and said, why are we doing these semi-finals now when it's not till the end of March. But, like, it's the first time you can get your kind of hands on silverware and to see where the clubs are at. And it can also work for confidence as well.
I was going to ask you, can that breed, if Arsenal were to win it, and I'm not saying that to be anti-Manchester City, but just because we're talking about them really, does that then inject this confidence in the team that they can then go on and win potentially the Premier League, like you're saying, the Champions League, whatever it is?
Yeah, I think it can, but it's not the same, obviously. It's a one-game situation. I think the way Arsenal have gone about their business, I think the win at Leeds last weekend was absolutely incredible because that was a big, big hurdle to overcome. Going to Ellen Road and to win in the way they did 4-0, fair play to Arsenal because they've come under a lot of pressure of late, losing to United. We'll bring it up again. But I do think Arsenal are in a good place, and I do think the League Cup is a good competition. You know, people are, it's only League Cup. I don't come from that place. I won the League Cup a number of times. I loved it. It's a trophy.
Well, I mean, Pep Guardiola obviously has been very successful in his period as Manchester City manager winning the League Cup, and he certainly sees it as a very worthwhile trophy to win because I probably, like we've just been discussing, he probably does see it as if you win something early, it gives you that extra bit of swagger, that extra bit of confidence to finish the season on a high.
Yeah, definitely. I think someone like City, though, when it's a one-off game, I feel like they're the mentality beasts, I think for Arsenal, there's probably more pressure on Arsenal for this, to be honest. A bit like when Man United beat them in the FA Cup the other year. Like, no one expected Manchester United to do that, and they did. But with Manchester City, because they know how to get the job done, that's why I think they probably might be the favourites going into that game, but not even based upon the league form and where Arsenal are in the league. I think the pressure is a little bit more on Arsenal in that game.
So does that mean Arsenal in a way need it more?
Yeah, I think so. But again, like Mikel Arteta, fortunately for Mikel, and I like Mikel, he won the FA Cup after being there for about 2 weeks. And I kind of feel like it gave him that, that little bit. But at the end of the day, this could be a massive season for Arsenal, or they could end up with nothing. Football's a cruel game, isn't it? Do you remember? I remember the other year when, City and Liverpool were in for the quadruple. Within the space of 2 weeks, they're out of all competitions. So it can go one way or the other. But I will say, like, there's been some nervy moments at the Emirates, though, like this year. I feel like the fans, I get it, because you're just nervous, but the energy is a little bit of that nervous energy. I know they were talking a lot about the players being booed. I didn't quite hear that, and I go to the Emirates a lot. But what I do hear is, like, the groans when the players give away the ball. It's very, very loud when that happens. So at the end of the day, they're professional footballers. They can handle that. People are paying their money. But what I will say to the Arsenal fans, just relax a little bit. Your team's a top side. I know it's easy for me to sit here and say that, but like I wish some of our players, we had some of Arsenal's players at Man United.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in thinking that. Just one thing to pick up on that Pep Guardiola has questioned, which I know Drive are talking about it a lot, the fact that Mark Gahey cannot play in this competition for Manchester City this season. This is all, of course, down to competition rules. The state a player is only eligible if they have joined that particular club, as in the case of Manchester City, prior to the closure of the winter transfer window or the first leg of the semi-final. So whichever comes first, essentially. And that semi-final first leg came before the end of the window. And obviously before Mark Gahey was signed. So therefore, he cannot play in the final. Where do you stand on that? Does that feel a bit harsh?
Yeah, it does, because he's not cup tied. It's based upon the timing of the signing. And and I think, like, it's a tricky one because we spoke about it before, didn't we, about the fact that is this a rule in the Champions League? We realise it's not. At the end of the day, he's a Man City player. Regardless of what team I support, do I want the City to be as strong as they can be? No. But at the same time, like Mark Gahey is now a Man City player, so he should be able to play. Obviously, it's different for Semenyo as well, you know, and you bring these players in to strengthen your team. And I think it's a stupid rule, if I'm being honest.
I agree with you. I think it's a real shame that he can't play a part and come away with a winner's medal potentially. It just seems such a shame. And I understand there'll be some out there going, well, rules are rules. And of course I get that. But it just should be one of those rules that should be scrapped. Because as soon as you sign for that team, you should just be able to play.
Well, you made a really good point before about the fact that, you know, do then goals get scrapped from Semenyo when he's been at Bournemouth? Do you know what I mean? You weren't saying that was the case, but I understand where you were coming from with that.
I'm saying essentially in the race for the Golden Boot, why are we not saying, well, Bournemouth, the goals that Semenyo scored for Bournemouth this season should be scrapped if you're thinking along the lines of cup tied, etc. I know it's a different competition.
No, but it makes sense though. I understand your logic in that for sure.
Just on the basis of this conversation of Mark Gahey, I don't want that to happen, by the way, to Antoine Semenyo. I'm just saying, if you're going to bring in one rule for a cup tie of a competition, then maybe you should factor in lots of other things. But I just think it seems a little harsh for Mark Gahey, who's, you know, you can't help when a transfer comes through.
No.
And, to miss out on a potential Wembley final again, obviously. Now, we know he's enjoyed one before. But it just seems a bit of a shame for me that he can't be played. And I know they can't change the rules. They won't change the rules. They can't relax it now because that's the state of affairs.
Not now, but you know what? They might for next year. I know we're going to talk about rules we would change later on in the show. But I'm glad the rule they did change about the loan players. Do you remember a few years ago when you could play against your team?
So you like that? You like the change?
Yeah, because we're seeing players score against teams that own them and they're getting relegated by a goal that they've scored against them. Does that make sense? I remember it happened a few years ago when there was a player on loan and they scored to relegate their team that paid their wages. Like, come on. Like,
I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. Of course, and there's that factor as well as, let's say, I'm trying to think, player A now plays for another team, and that team is his parent club, could be going for Europe or whatever it is, and he might not try as hard against that team because he wants them to get into Europe, knowing he could go back to them in the summer and then play a part. I get it.
You'll get some players that want to prove a point, but at the same time, you'll also get some players that do exactly what you say.
Might just not go as hard against that.
Do you think that rule should have... Do you not like it?
There's sometimes a part of me that thinks, oh, come on. There's a reason you've loaned him out.
Yeah.
There's a reason you don't want him.
Do you know what? That's funny, isn't it? Because it's like, we don't want you, but we're not going to let you play against us.
Yeah, but I also get your point. And that is, it's all a bit of a farcical situation, isn't it, really?
No rules. Let's just have no rules.
Once the whistle goes, let's just see what happens. Do it like that.
Royal Rumble.
Anyway, that's what happened in the Carabao Cup semi-finals. That was all thanks to Ladbrokes.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Yeah, we are going to be asking for you to get involved, as I've mentioned already in the show. And we might want you to come up with some rule changes. This is all based on what we were talking about just there with Mark Gahey. But that is to come. And maybe we can try and get away from VAR.
Yeah.
Not one of those ones. There's something a little bit different, what you'd like to see changed in football. But that's to come. Don't forget, the Carabao Cup final is live for you on talkSPORT. That's coming your way on Sunday, the 22nd of March. So a little while to go. Well over a month for that one. The question, of course, now is, will Manchester City and Newcastle have the same men in the dugout next season? We will discuss the fates of Pep Guardiola and Eddie Howe next. But you can have your say. 03717 223344. You're tuning in to kick off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Manchester City intend to write to the EFL to request a rule change so that Mark Gahey is available for the final against Arsenal on the 22nd of next month. A rule change for this season means that players have to be registered before the start of the semi-final in order to be eligible to take part in the remainder of the competition. So Gahey missed out on that, didn't he? But Pep still needs him for the final. This was him.
I said to the club, they have to ask, yeah, definitely. I don't understand the reason why I cannot play in the final FA Cup, Carabao Cup, in March when I've been here for a long time. So the rules to buy a players on the players, what depends on me, depends the FIFA, UEFA, or the Premier League said, okay, transfer window is open. Once you hire a player, have to play, no? In the competitions, logic is. I don't understand why could not play today, but in the final, in two-man thumb, of course we're going to try to ask to play because it's pure logic.
What do you think the answer will be?
No. To change the rule in something country, no way, but we will try.
Yeah, but all joking apart, why should they change the rules?
Well, look, I think it's a silly rule in the first place, but it exists. And you can't have the benefit. If you wanted Gahey as a player, you could have signed him in August and paid a full transfer fee. What you've done is you've been able to be in a position where Gahey comes available at a fraction of his worth. So you can't have it always. You've nicked him in a market. Some will say, well, you couldn't nick him. You paid 20 million with 6 months left in his contract. That's only because other people would have bought him. Otherwise, you'd have tried to get him for nothing, even less than that. So you've brought him in to supplement the team. The rules are the rules. It is not a conspiracy against you. If any football club was detailing the same thing, they probably would be greeted with the same response.
This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT, and it is the former Lionesses striker Lianne Sanderson who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, as we take you through until 10 o'clock this evening. We're going to bring you the latest odds in just a moment, but we want you to get involved, as we always do on the show. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola, we've just been talking about it. He's bemoaned the rule which has prevented Mark Gahey from playing in the Carabao Cup final for Manchester City. He would have needed to sign before the semi-final first leg to have played. The question is then, what football rule would you like to see changed? And we are asking it to be a VAR no-go zone.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone would just go down that route. So anything else that you think, come on, common sense needs to be used in this one? 03717 223344, that's the number to call us on, that's the number to WhatsApp us on, or you can text us to 81089. So Lianne, the floor is yours. What would you like to change if you could?
If I could change, it would be the players getting booked for taking off their shirts. I think that's ridiculous. Also, when David Moyes got booked the other week for running down the touchline, that was ridiculous. And I know it's not a rule change, right, but it really annoys me when the players don't put the ball in the D when they're taking corners. It really annoys me. Watch that. I swear to you, I'm not trying to be a killjoy, right, but literally every time when the assistant referee is not on that side, the players will gain like an extra yard. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Like, it's not doing anything by just doing it, but it's because they know they can. So it's not a rule change, but it's an observation.
You want that to be more hot.
Yes.
The assistants and everyone needs to be checking that the ball is correctly
the
placed.
players getting booked for taking off their shirts. I
get that. I get that.
Remember we saw it not long ago where someone was about to get, they would have had a second yellow and their teammate was pulling their shirt back down on. Like,
yes.
It was like, come on. And Moyes getting booked. Like, come on now. Let's not take the fun out of football. Like, this is why we play football, to celebrate. And also, I love it when the players, I know there's like duty of care when they go and celebrate with the fans.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, that's what it's all about.
Well, it's spur of the moment stuff. I get that. I like that as well. And I agree with you on the David Moyes thing. Come on. I mean, he said, he's not going to be celebrating a 50th minute equaliser or whatever it was he said. But when it's so late on in a game, that you can't help but just want to enjoy that moment.
What are you changing then?
Oh, I don't know. I think you took it away from me, really. I'd have said the same. I kind of get the whole taking your shirt off, and maybe if there's there has to be the right, if I say right message. You can't have political things necessarily, because I get that. I get why they don't want you to do that. But I do equally at the same time understand that, come on, you just want to celebrate a moment.
When you score a goal, like, honestly, I love scoring. And I always had these planned celebrations. And we never did them, really, because we were so in the heat of the moment. And I always said, I run quicker when I score a goal to celebrate than I did in a game. All of a sudden, I look like Bolt. when I scored a goal because I'd run as far. Everyone's going, you got pace. When I played, I never had pace.
Where's that when you should be playing?
I know. It was weird. And I loved it. You know, celebrating with your teammates. It's so like...
you didn't have like a distinctive celebration, no?
No, not really. I mean, I kind of did like what Harry Kane did, you know, when he like does that whole jumps and pushes his... Oh, yeah, like that type of thing. But not really. I mean, I played in that five-a-side game on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And I celebrated like we won the World Cup when we won. That ballers event. Like Roberto Carlos was there. It was unbelievable. And I just love winning that. Like I set up a goal, right? And I celebrated like I'd won the World Cup. You just can't take that out of you, that fire. Do you know what I mean? And I was quite nervous because I hadn't kicked a ball in like a year.
Yeah.
And you know, your legs, I was recovering.
It came back though, didn't it?
And it's funny because Murray Upper Maps, my mate, he's now one of the Watford. Yeah. So he played with us on Friday and he messaged me like, I'm on my way to Hull. I was like, what? So it's mad how football can change.
I was just about to say, hey?
Well, I couldn't walk the next day. Well, for a few days.
You bit the DOMs.
Yeah, more than that, if you want to call it that.
All right, then. Right, we're going to bring the latest... well, we've got loads coming up on the show, I should say. But right now, let's bring you the latest odds from Ladbrokes.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Nicola McGeady, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, Natalie. How are you? We're battling a storm here in Ireland, so I'm just hoping the roof doesn't blow off the house.
Is it that bad? Oh, dear.
It's bad. It's mental over here, yeah.
Okay. Well, we won't keep you then because I'm worried about the storm and you've got to batten down the hatches and all. We've been talking about the Carabao Cup final. We now know, obviously, March 22nd, it'll be between Arsenal and Manchester City. So already, have you got early odds on that match for us?
We absolutely do. Obviously, you know, City eased past Newcastle, Arsenal, they saw off Chelsea. So it's going to be some match as they battle it out for that first domestic trophy of the season. Arsenal are 8-11 to lift the cup and end, obviously, that trophy drought. City, they're even money. And then in 90 minutes, we have Arsenal at 5-4, City at 7-4. So close and hard to call. I can tell you right now, though, it is the league leaders, Arsenal, who are attracting the lion's share of early support to lift the cup, with many hoping for that quadruple at 33-1. It's a big ask, but the hopes are still alive. But look, Nat, it is a repeat of the 2018 final, which saw City run out, 3-0 winners. The same scenario is unlikely at 22-1, but it should see lots of goals. Over 3.5 goals looks a bit of value, I think, at 2-1. But let's see if Arsenal can hold their nerve against a side who are used to winning trophies.
Nicola, talking of a top side, my side, Manchester United, come up against Spurs.
Talking of swagger and confidence.
On Saturday. Yeah, my confidence has changed. I've got to love it. But yeah, Saturday, Nicola, what are the odds on that one, Man United versus Tottenham?
Yeah, the Carrick bounce certainly took effect. Anyway, I'm with you, I'm a Man United fan, so I'm loving this right now. United, look, they've won 3 consecutive league games under Michael Carrick, including victories over City and Arsenal, and the odds are in their favour to keep it up. They're priced at 4-7 to get all 3 points. As for Spurs, obviously, despite their current problems, I think they're unbeaten in their last 8 meetings with United across all competitions. So they'll be hoping that stat won't be broken. It's 18-5 for Spurs. That's the same price for the draw, but again, hopefully plenty of goals sets us up for a nice Saturday of football. We make over 2.5 goals, 10-21, sorry, but both teams to score is 3-5. And given Man United's momentum, I think they're going to win this. I think United to win and both teams to score could be a popular pick at 15-8.
Okay. Well, let's take you to Anfield then on Sunday for the 4:30 kickoff. It's Liverpool against Manchester City, Nicola.
It's very hard to split this one. Liverpool are more popular at 13-10 to get their own back from that 3-0 defeat earlier in the season. City obviously need to keep the pressure on Arsenal, and every point counts, and they'll be coming here hoping to come away with 3 points. But they have struggled on the road recently, failing to win in any of their last 3 Premier League away matches. I probably wouldn't be rushing to back them to win this were they're 7-4. The draw's in there at 27-10. But again, we think there are going to be plenty of goals here, with both sides being involved in a high scoring match. Over 3.5 goals is 11-8. So not a bad price.
Nicola, it's always a pleasure. Stay inside, get away from that storm. Thank you very much, though. That was Nicola McGeady from Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, BigGambleAware.org.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
All right, you're listening into Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Next up, we're going to talk life at Manchester City without Pep Guardiola. Is that a possibility? We'll assess that next.
You don't mean that, man.
Okay, stop
man,
shouting at me.
let me get the out of here, bro. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Talking about my peoples and all that. It's hard to believe a black man than a white man. The cheated. Tell him to sue me so I can show the facts early. Because when the documentary and everything, the story come out, I'm going to show everything.
Fantastic.
I'm going to get all the people that know and all the people that's in the inside. He got people that the inside of him that can know. I don't, what? I don't about that.
I'm not a Fury
I don't about it. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. It ain't got to do with him.
Fair enough.
The you talking about?
And with that, he was out of there. How on earth do you reflect on that? What was he going on about?
Well, look, I mean, at the time, I was a little bit embarrassed because I thought the show's coming off the rails and it was a big show and Deontay Wilder's a big name. So I'm sitting there thinking I'm a bit embarrassed by it. Then I thought, he's a bit of a tit. And then I thought, is he on drugs or something? Or is this theatrics? And then I just came around to the conclusion that he's not right. He's not well. And all this ayahuasca stuff it's probably worked in reverse. I thought it was supposed to make you calm and zen-like. Listen, I didn't provoke Deontay Wilder by asking him a question that he didn't want to answer. I asked him a question about something he'd said, not something I was trying to engineer into clickbait. He called Tyson Fury a cheat. He's sitting in England. Tyson Fury, in some people's minds, is a legend in boxing. And so you're sitting in England. I thought, not unreasonable. Someone else asked him the question, and he didn't like it. And he can't answer it. So he gets all agitated and upset about it. He turns it into a debate about oppression. I mean, there's loads more that you didn't see. You know, he threatened to punch me in the face and talked about lynching and God knows whatever else. And I understand that he's got things in his life that have challenged him. But later on in the afternoon, you saw him. He went off to do some other stuff, and he was much more relaxed about it. But that looks to me like a man that's struggling with things because there was no...
Simon Jordan's told us he's disappointed by the way Deontay Wilder reacted to his question about Tyson Fury.
There was no reason for that reaction. There was no provocation. There was no incitement.
And in case you missed it...
I don't give a about that.
I'm not a Fury
I don't give a about it. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. It ain't got to do with him.
Fair enough.
You can watch the full thing back on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube. Well, Simon's told us Wilder looked like a man who's struggling and reveals he threatened to punch him in the face. Elsewhere today, as Arne Slot's attempts to transform Liverpool continue, he's praised the hard work put in by Florian Wirtz.
Not only on the pitch, also in the gym. And then as a manager, even if he is maybe physically struggling a little bit in the start, you need to keep on playing him because that's the only way players can improve.
Meanwhile, Jeremy Frimpong's still out and Joe Gomez could be on the bench for Liverpool at home to Man City on Sunday. Meanwhile, the EFL will not change their rules to allow Mark Gay to play in the League Cup final. And Blair Kinghorn, Darcy Graham and Duhan van der Merwe have all been dropped for Scotland's Six Nations opener in Italy on Saturday. Glasgow's Jamie Doby and Carl Stein start on the wings. The tournament starts tonight with France versus Ireland in Paris. There's more at talksport.com.
Off on talkSPORT. A pleasure to have your company this Thursday evening, and it is former Lioness Leanne Sanderson who is with me, Natalie Sawyer, and we're taking you through into the sports bar at 10. The latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now live. Matt Ford and Alex Brooker are joined this time by the former England captain and talkSPORT's very own Stuart Pearce to talk about what makes a perfect leader in football. Here's what Stuart had to say then about the current England skipper Harry Kane and the other leaders in the England squad.
We've all got rose-tinted glasses like you have and thinking, oh, war horses like me are sort of your archetypical, and we really cared and the new modern player doesn't care. I don't subscribe to that. I think there's a lot of people that in this squad, I look through them and I think they really care about playing for their country.
Yeah, and a lot. Jude Bellingham feels like a leader. Yeah. Declan Rice feels like a leader.
Well, Deck is a leader in waiting for me. I mean, I'm just sat. I mean, your club. I wish he was Arsenal captain now because I think he would flourish even more as a player. And I think he's ready anytime Harry steps away or isn't available for any reason. Declan Rice for me is the man to step into that because I think he'll take his game on as much as anything.
Interesting thoughts there from Stuart Pearce. And I don't think many people would argue against what he's saying there about Declan Rice, really.
No, not at all. And I think, like, my love for Declan Rice is mad because I'm a Man United fan. You know how much I used to love Jack Grealish, and I had to tone it down a bit when he went to City. But
do we have to turn it down?
No, we're not turning this down.
Okay.
We're turning it up.
Okay.
Declan Rice, for me, I mean, I think giving the PFA Player of the Year award already. Genuinely, I think he's that good. I agree with what Stuart Pearce said. Love PSC, but I agree with everything he said. I feel for Odegaard because I think it's inevitable. Declan Rice will be given the captaincy, but he doesn't need the armband. He's that type of guy that leads by example anyway. Yeah. But, like, it is good to see there are a number of leaders in the England squad as well. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, even Mark Gay. You know, that I think we've turned a corner in that sense. But we've been historically known for having leaders in that team. Lampard, Gerrard, over the years, like, you know, Sol Campbell, Rio, like loads of those players weren't captain, but they didn't need the armband to be the captain. Do you know what I mean?
But the difference as well, when you mention those players, it's been well documented, as we know, there were cliques in those squads, whereas we don't currently believe there are any in this new team, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are people that, like, get on with each other more than others, but that's normal.
Yeah,
like, you know, you have to respect your teammates, but you don't have to love every person on the team. But I do think Sir Gareth Southgate did bring that back to the England team. Absolutely. You know, when you see them at St George's Park, they're having a good time, because we often in England think, oh, if you see the players on a float at St George's Park, they're not serious enough. No, let the players be. Some of these boys are like 18 years old playing for their country, like Miles Lewis-Skelly. Do you know what I mean? Like, let them have a break. So, yeah, I agree with what Pearcey said, and I think it's inevitable that Declan Rice will be the next Arsenal captain, will be the next England captain.
Yeah, I think many people would agree with you that as well, Leanne. I'm just going to quickly read out a few messages because we've had a few in already about rule changes. It's a VAR no-go zone, but we're asking for what else would you change in football? I know you've probably been asked this many a time, but this is based on what happened in the Carabao Cup semi-finals when Mark Gay, he cannot play. He's not eligible to play because he wasn't registered or wasn't signed before the first semi-final, first leg that is, and therefore cannot play in the final for Manchester City, something that Pep Guardiola is not happy about, but it's led us to wonder what else could be changed, and we've had quite a few messages in, which is great. I wanted to find one. something that you mentioned, obviously, was Lianne, was about the corner thing. Mark agrees with you. Needs stopping. He says, I also have gripes with throw-ins, as every player steals yards, and referees and assistants need to stop that. My solution would be to use the spray foam to line where they need to throw the ball from. Then they can take the run up and release the ball from the line.
That's a great shout.
Yeah, I mean,
and that spray came from the MLS as well. And I know people are a bit, it's coming from the MLS, but I think that's a really good shout. I like the educated ones that come in. I like it because it's a good thought process, isn't it?
It is a good, and you're right. I mean, I think most teams do steal a few yards when it comes to a throw-in.
I mean, we all would. We all do.
Well, we kind of condone it, don't we, in a weird way, but it's definitely a form of manipulating things to gain an advantage. I quickly want to read this one as well. Dan Bezic has gone for, I'd love to see the golden goal come back. Says, remember that classic Trezeguet goal? And that was the Euro 2000 final. I mean, it's brilliant for the drama, but the heartbreak.
When it's for you, it's brilliant. But when it's against you, it is awful. I remember playing in the playground, when you played like Wembley and all that at school, and it's like, winner stays on, rush goalkeeper. But that golden goal was brilliant, wasn't it? But if it goes against you, it is heartbreaking.
And especially if you begin extra time and they score within a very short amount of time that you've started that extra time, you just think, what was the point?
Yeah.
But I get it for the drama, and it certainly delivered a few moments, certainly, like you say, that Euro 2000 goal for France, winning it against Italy, wasn't it?
Can I throw out my next one?
Oh, gosh, you got more.
Remember I spoke to you about this off air and it seemed a bit crazy about the fact that, in five-a-side, when you play five-a-side, there's a rule where you can't always go back to the goalkeeper. I'd love that to be in the world football now. Football is so boring because they just go backwards. The goalkeeper's touching the ball more than the central defensive midfielder. Every single time the players are getting the ball now, they're just going back to the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Edison was at City, he's touching the ball more than Haaland. It's it makes no sense to me, Nat. So if I could change anything, I'd love the fact that, they play out from the back, they play to the full-back, then they can go back once, but if you've gone back once, you've got to go forward. I'm not saying punt it long.
Yeah.
I'm saying play football the way it used to be played.
Okay.
Not even back in the day. But when United dominated, when Chelsea were dominating, because when John Terry and that used to pick up the ball, they just always go back to the goalkeeper all the time. Tony Adams didn't just go back to the goalkeeper all the time.
In those moments, that's where I try and be a rational fan and go, it's all right, we're just resetting.
But they're resetting every 2 seconds now. I mean, you are a Brentford fan.
Whoa, that's a dig. Do you like the G-Tech? Because you don't do very well there. Anyway, we
won't talk about that. I've had some really bad memories there that you had to bring it up.
Well, you started.
But don't you think, though, they go back to the goalkeeper too much?
I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
So boring. They get a free kick.
You do hear the moans and groans.
They're not even putting the ball in the box now. Literally, the ball, they'll get a free kick on the left side or the right side. Swing it in. No, we're going to go back to the goalkeeper. Reset.
Resetting. Come on.
Let's see if people are a fan of the reset. Get involved. Get your texts in.
You could also give us your views on what rules you would change. 03717 223344. That's the WhatsApp number. You can text as well to 81089. Now, let's talk Pep Guardiola, shall we? 18 major trophies he has won, including, this is at Manchester City, 6 Premier Leagues in his 10-year spell. But there is suggestions that this could be his last. There's been talk that he may walk away this summer, but would he be prepared to go if the club doesn't win the Premier League this season? Or if they don't win a trophy, will he want to go out on some sort of a high? Who could really replace him as well if he does leave? And what kind of shape are the club in for a successor to come in should that happen? Do you think we are obviously getting closer to Pep walking away?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I feel like everyone feels that way. Like a lot of the journalists feel that way. I only feel that way based upon his demeanour. I think his demeanour's changed in the last people thought it was going to be last year. I don't think this is based upon trophies. I don't think it's based upon if he wins, he's going to stay. I just think he will go. Because, I mean, you see him in press conferences. He's being quite, short and sharp with the journos, isn't he, as well, when you watch him back. I think Pep is a genius, just putting that out there. What he's done for football, world football, is beyond genius, right? Trophies, everything he's done with Manchester City, Barca, Bayern, legend, one of the greatest ever managers. But is it one of those ones similar to why Jurgen Klopp left Liverpool? Everyone was like, remember when the news broke? It was like, what is going on? Jurgen Klopp's left. He spoke about, the modern day management, the pressures. And when I see Pep now, I just think it's not even the pressure. He just looks like he's not enjoying it like he used to. And, it's not to draw comparisons to Sir Alex Ferguson, because I don't think you can ever draw comparisons to Sir Alex. But what he has done for Manchester City, he's going to be really hard to replace. And we're talking about him like he's already gone, but I do feel like he will leave. But is it going to be a scenario like when everyone was saying Jude Bellingham was going to Liverpool? Do you remember? Everyone was like, oh, Jude's signing to Liverpool, and he never went there. He went to Madrid. But like the people that are being linked, like Maresca, Cesc Fabregas, you know, obviously Vincent Kompany as well.
Xavi Alonso's another.
But you know what, right? We was talking about Alonso before. Alonso will want the Liverpool job after Arne Slot. No doubt in that. But it's a matter of if Arne Slot's going to stay there for another 2 or 3 seasons, we don't know this. Xabi Alonso, would he then go to City? Do you get what I mean? It's not the same as Man United because that rivalry isn't there. So I don't think Liverpool fans will be upset if he went to City. But as soon as if he was to go to City, he won't be going to Liverpool. It's not a stepping stone. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like he can go to City and then wait to get the Liverpool job. I think it's one or the other. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Cesc Fabregas being linked, I understand because of the style of football he plays at Como. But at the same time, Maresca being linked, that one for me is a strange one. Because I know he's worked under Pep before.
Yeah.
But didn't do great when he was at Chelsea. His style of football isn't easy on the eye. At Leicester, it wasn't easy on the eye. He did all right there. But like the style of football for me is at Man City. I think Xabi Alonso fits that role really well.
I mean, obviously, you imagine everyone behind the scenes has already started that process of who comes in next for Pep Guardiola. I do often... do you think players going to Manchester City, like a Mark Gahey, Antoine Semenyo, these 2 players I'm just thinking off the top of my head, are they going there because it's Manchester City or are they going there to work with Pep Guardiola?
Both, I think. But then, as we know, it doesn't always work out. Listen, 90% of the time it's worked out for the players that have gone there. But you look at a Calvin Phillips, Jack Grealish, didn't work out individually, but he won a treble. And, you know, some players, it just doesn't work out. Some managers don't fit. Ask Ibrahimovic about playing under Pep Guardiola at Barca. It didn't work out. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't always work out that way. I don't know. It's a difficult one because when you have a manager like Pep Guardiola, he is the pull, isn't he? Like, he is. That's the reality. But I don't think that's... Semenyo and Gahey didn't sign for City to play for Pep forever.
No,
because they know the timing of these moves, he's only got another couple of seasons, if that, at City. So they would have been thinking, I want to play for City, I want to win trophies, I want to play for the best team, I want to play in Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's like Erling Haaland signed his 10-year deal. He knows Pep Guardiola is not going to be there for the length of that time. That's just unlikely. I mean, he's already been at City for coming up to 10 years, which is just remarkable in itself, the longest he stayed at any club as a manager. He does. I know what you're saying. He's looking quite weary at the moment. Listen, last season...
Angry? He looks quite angry.
He looks angry, but obviously last season was well below Manchester City's standards. They're obviously in the shout for a quadruple right now as well. But it does feel as though he looks a little tired. And let's not forget, I think, was it Bayern Munich? After that, he had a little sabbatical. Went to New York, if I remember rightly. You just feel like maybe he needs a break.
Yeah.
Because it is a long old time.
And I get
to be
it
at
as
your
well.
peak.
The pressure in modern day football is completely different, especially for managers. Like, I don't think Pep's that person that ever comes under pressure, and he shouldn't really because of the success he's had. But you can see it. Like, at times he just looks like he needs a break. And you don't get that in modern day football.
You don't.
No matter how much money you're getting paid in that, right? People often think, oh, they're on all this money. You know, they're superhuman. We're all from the same place. I say this all the time. The players, the managers, and it's a high pressure job. Now, there's other pressure jobs, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but we're talking the context of football alone. And also, nowadays, no one switches off. You get the summer period, but most players don't really have a month off. They might give themselves 2 weeks and then they get back into their pre-training, pre-season training. Someone like Pep Guardiola, I'm sure, like most managers, don't ever switch off because you're thinking of the summer window, who can we sign? It just never ends for them. But this will, when eventually he does decide to leave, it will end the sort of dynasty that he's had at Manchester City. When you look at other clubs, you mentioned Liverpool, for example, and they were obviously quite equipped, it felt, to deal with the loss of Jurgen Klopp. Man United, maybe less so, but are City equipped to lose someone like Pep Guardiola right now?
I think if this was 5 years ago, I'd say more equipped with the type of players they still had at the football club, like Vincent Kompany, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Gondwan, Bernardo Silva also in their prime. I know Silva's still there, but like, I don't know. I think he's left them in a better place than when he found them, genuinely. And they've got top quality players, but it also depends. Like Foden, it's all he's ever known. And it seems like Foden, I love Foden, technically, but it seems like whenever Foden's away from Pep, he doesn't perform. Does he? Like at England, that's the only common denominator. Like, but Phil Foden for City is unbelievable.
And yet he can't really get in the team at the moment.
So it's a difficult one. And I'm sure for the players like Phil Foden, it's all they've ever known. That'll be quite strange. But he is quite intense, Pep, isn't he?
Well,
do you remember when he went up to Nathan Redmond a couple of seasons ago after the Southampton game, him and Haaland are always getting into it. So I think the intensity of Pep is there, and I think you have to either, if you're going to play for City, these are the requirements. Sing and dance to his tune. If you don't, then he won't be having you. Look what happened with João Cancelo. Literally, he was one of the best fullbacks in the league. They had a falling out, and he was gone. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Will I miss Pep? As a Man United fan, not particularly, but at the same time, separating that, what he's done for football is unbelievable, the trophy. So, it's going to be, it feels weird not having Pep and Jurgen Klopp
absolutely
in the Premier League.
And I know we've got a hit break, but very quickly, on a sort of England Premier League bias, we want to have the best of the best here, don't we? So, it would be a shame to lose him as well. But City fans, we want to know how you feel about the whole situation. Are you already readying yourselves for the day that you have to say goodbye to Pep, or are you dreading it? Premier League fans as well, why don't let us know what you think? Will you be sorry to see him go? 03717 223344. Up next, we'll turn our attention to the team that City defeated in the second semi-final. That was Newcastle. Has Eddie Howe earned the right to stay beyond the summer, no matter where the club finish in the Premier League? That's next.
Obviously, I don't think he feels particularly happy about his treatment, and I spent a lot of time suggesting to me that a lot of people were very complimentary about his tenure at Spurs, and I went through a roll call of people that were very complimentary about him because he did a good job in my view. May not have won as many things as he could do and should have done, perhaps as Spurs as a football club, but as a person that's built a spaceship that maybe some other captain can fly to the moon, there's a huge amount of potential there.
Okay.
Can I go and do Deontay Wilder now?
No, you can't. We're sitting up in here in Newcastle. Steve Bruce is asking for you.
Is he?
I'm alongside Alex Crook and Gabby Bonlahor. You're waiting Chisora and Wilder. Are we right?
Where are you, Simon? You should be up here in the northeast. You can kind of get past Watford these days.
I know. I figured to myself, do I want to go up to the north and get a nosebleed? No, I do not. So I stayed down here. And what I'll probably get is a nosebleed from Deontay Wilder if I ask some bloody saucy question.
Oh, good luck with him, by the way.
Indeed, have fun. I see Gabby's increasing the tone of the environment up there.
Simon, I've just found out that you actually said that the Saudis wouldn't buy Newcastle, so
Oh, gee,
they did a week later.
Oh, gee, Gabby, nice to see you're current. That was 3.5 years ago, you clown.
Simon, just before you leave us, on the Tottenham Hotspur situation and the Levy situation, Levy reportedly in discussion to sell 30%, which would work out at £1 billion. Is there pressure on Daniel to sell to these people?
No.
From an ENIC perspective?
Well, no. Not necessarily, because ENIC might not want to jump into bed with these guys. I can't speak to that. But Daniel is a shareholder in his own right. There is pressure, I suspect, on Daniel, because we've seen the noise. We saw some of the suggestions that they're going to go and review the...
This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT, and it's the former Arsenal women's striker Lianne Sanderson who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. Don't forget, we want to hear from you, Manchester City fans, about the day that you might be dreading. Pep Guardiola, all the talk at the moment is that maybe this will be his last season. Are you prepared for it? Or are you dreading it? Also, football fans, how do you feel about it? And also, based on the fact that Pep Guardiola is not happy about the League Cup rules that mean that Mark Gahey cannot play in the final in the League Cup against Arsenal because he wasn't signed for the club before the first semi-final first leg. He wants that changed. He'd love to see common sense prevail. We are asking for you to tell us about what rule changes you were like. I mean, some of you are being a bit naughty or coming up with things that are just never going to happen, but I'll still read them out. Ollie, for example, technical areas should be a lockable perspex box so managers can't get out or be heard.
I guess they're probably aiming at a Mikel Arteta that's like playing left wing.
Wow.
I don't have a problem with Mikel doing like being animated, but it is times where there's a player
not even
like
in the box.
No, but yeah, like the player's right there on the left and he's like literally
Yeah. I've seen Unai Emery do that as well a few times. So that was just one sample of what you're all coming up with this evening. I'll do my best to read more.
Can I just throw one out there that my wife said? No, this is what my wife said the other week, and I put it on my socials, right?
Oh, go on.
Because it really made me laugh. There was a penalty shootout, I can't remember off the top of my head, that we were watching, and she said to me, "Do the managers take a penalty?" And I was
That would be different.
I started laughing, and then I thought, actually, that's not a bad shout.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, if you've gone through them all.
yeah. I
Bring on
thought,
the manager.
ooh,
Bring
especially
on
when the
the
managers are
manager.
ballers. Do you know what I mean?
And
Ex-players,
then-
can you imagine?
And then the mascots.
I don't know about that.
Well, you might as well.
But I thought it was ludicrous. I put it on my Instagram, like having banter about it. Loads of people were like, she's got a point. I thought, okay.
I mean, most of them have played football to some sort of a level, so why can't they have a little kickabout as such? Oh, okay, I like it. She's onto something there.
Hey.
The future IFAB rule
We'll
maker.
trademark it. I'll speak to Howard Webb.
Love it. Right, just moving aside from that, Newcastle, like Manchester City fans, well, maybe you're facing an interesting future. They sit 11th in the Premier League, were knocked out then of the Carabao Cup this week. They still have hopes, of course they do, for this season. They were involved in the FA Cup. They're still in the Champions League as well, but questions are starting to be asked about the current squad as well as the manager, Eddie Howe. Yesterday on talkSPORT, the Newcastle CEO, David Hopkinson, joined Jim White to discuss the club's ambitious title plans.
What do you think? Do you think Newcastle in a decade will have won the Premier League and the Champions League? Are we talking about that?
We are, but I think 10 years is too long. We have a high ambition here. We have a concrete plan. It's a 5-year plan. It takes us through 2030, and it has benchmarks along the way. A plan without a time frame attached to it is just a fantasy. It's just a dream. So we have a plan here. We have a strategy here. We're working on executing that every single day. But 10 years is too long. We got to think about how we are consistently contending for those top prizes within 5 years. 10 years, you walk at a certain pace. With 5 years, I already feel like we're burning daylight, and we need to get after this every.
So by 2030, Newcastle United, this great club, will have been Premier League champions. That's what you're telling me?
That's our ambition.
Okay, 5 years, he says. They want to be up there challenging and becoming mainstays in challenging as well. Do you think that's possible?
No, only based upon the fact that it was possible a few years ago. I felt like they had a right plan in place with Amanda Staveley when they took over. I think, unfortunately, the PSR and all those different rules there are now financially have really come back to bite clubs like Newcastle, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, as we've seen, right? The so-called, not smaller clubs before people jump after me, but you get my gist.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't affect Man City, it didn't affect Chelsea, but they brought in these rules. And I think if you'd have been asking me that question, did he say within 5 years?
5 years, 2030 is
No,
basically.
see, I'm not having that at all. I'm not having that at all. Based upon when the takeover happened, I remember being on talkSPORT and we were talking about, Mbappe's going to go Newcastle, Messi and all these things. And they recruited well. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Joel Linton, like top players. Obviously, they've lost Isak as well now, and they were building something. Now, they're obviously still in Champions League. Still, their league form hasn't been great, but that just sounds a bit far-fetched now, doesn't it? Now, at this moment in time, it feels far-fetched. I'm sure if you asked any Newcastle fan, they would say the same. Before they had hope, I feel like.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, well, where is that going to come from? Because their current squad is nowhere near winning the Premier League.
Obviously, to be competing, as he says, in 5 years' time at the top end, it means you've got to regularly be finishing in the top six. You've got to, just to bring in the extra finances and the revenue, especially the Champions League, that will bring you. And that's that's the first hurdle.
Well, they're in 11th in the Premier League
at this present moment, yeah.
And looking like they're probably going to continue to fall. They're not on the rise, are they, really? I feel like they've gone a bit stale.
Consistent.
But I feel like they've gone a bit stale. I like Eddie Howe. And like obviously they won last year, the Cup. Like the Newcastle fans are so infectious. They love their club, don't they? But like I just feel like it's kind of gone a bit flat.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. I do. And look, we'll get a fan's perspective on this after the break as well, just to really get a sense of the feeling of how Newcastle fans are feeling right now about how their season is going and what they can expect in 5 years' time as well. Coming up on Friday, how about this? Live on talkSPORT's YouTube channel, we are bringing you the Russian-Saudi League game between Al Nassr and Al Ittihad for viewers in the UK. Kickoff is at 5:30. It's live on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and you can tune in to see that standard of Saudi Arabian League football.
Cristiano playing, still on strike.
I think he might still be on strike. He's not happy about certain things, is he? Wages might be one of his issues.
Or $500,000 a day.
I know. But don't forget, you can also watch the show tonight on YouTube and on your smart TV as well, as we are on most of our shows on talkSPORT. In the next hour then, as we mentioned, we'll continue to discuss Newcastle. We'll also discuss Leicester's 6-point deduction, and we'll keep you across all the live sport that's taking place with the Six Nations kicking off. And there's also Accrington against Salford as well.
Is there pressure on you, Luke, going into this as defending champion? Because you're there to be knocked off the perch, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. There's always pressure on you when you're the defending champion of any tournament. You know, I think the pressure's always going to be on Luke Littler more than anybody because he's winning all the time and he's expected to keep winning. And if he doesn't win, then it's a surprise nowadays. So obviously, I ran him close on Sunday in the Masters. And he knows that, you know, there's other players now playing pretty well. You know, Gern Price is playing good and Gian's testing him. So, you know, Luke Littler's definitely the man to beat. But, of course, I'm the reigning champion. So, yeah, he's going to want to take that off my hands and I'm going to do everything I can to...
Let me pick you up on that. You declared after Sunday's Nara defeat to him in the Masters final, the Winmau Masters final, Luke Littler, the greatest darts player that's ever lived. Is he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to backtrack on that. I think... what I mean to have said, maybe he's the most talented dart player ever. You know, I still think that maybe, you know, the argument would still stand with maybe Phil is the greatest, of course, of what he achieved. But I just think natural, raw talent that he's got, I think that is, to me, what would say is the greatest dart player ever. And, you know, it's just the way he doesn't ever fold under pressure. He's always so great. And, yeah, I mean, it's hard to sit here and backtrack and say, oh, no, Phil. So Phil is one of the greatest, of course. But I just think with his talent, yeah, he's the most talented dart player.
Because I found it a bit curious, Luke, because you're great rivals. And yet you're saying, well, he's the greatest guy of the lot. He's the greatest player of the lot.
Of course, but that doesn't mean I can't beat him, you know, or I won't beat him or I won't challenge him. But, you know, like I said, he is the most talented dart player in the world. I think it's obvious.
Dear Kitmen, we see you. We appreciate your work. While some fans reckon it's just hanging up shirts in dressing rooms, we know it's so much more. A football team's kit is its identity, its uniform, what sets it out from the rest. But it doesn't clean itself. That's not just the shirts, it's the shorts, the socks, the training gear, the boots, the other bits we sort out behind closed doors. Who's the one digging around in that smelly, stinky laundry basket at full time? Yeah, it's the kitman. They have a lot to work on in a week, from laundry, fixing damaged kit, repairing holes, cleaning boots. Then they pack the van and take everything they need off to the stadium, ready for game day. They don't get a lot of help when they get in the ground too. Kitmen are the ones unloading a full squad's worth of boots, kit, medical bags, and all the bits the players and coaches will need between the start of the day and switching off the floodlights at the end of the day. First thing they do is organise each player's kit, make it easily accessible in order to avoid any dramas on match day. Once everything's in the right place, it's into the dressing room, lay everything out, put players' nameplates on the right locker, all the things you don't even think about on a match day. Once the players arrive, if anything needs doing, they call the kitman. In the meantime, it's on the kitman to help set up for the warm-up. The coaches don't always have time to lay out all the cones and put the balls in those weird triangle piles you see. As the warm-up is underway, the kitman then becomes a glorified ball boy, chasing stray shots and passes, making sure they aren't lost in the crowds. They eventually do the tidying up too, getting everything off the pitch before kick-off and assist the ground staff with any last-minute things they may need. After that, it's last call for the players. Then, at kick-off, they can breathe a sigh of relief for a few minutes, sit back and watch the game, enjoy the fruits of their labour. At half-time, check everyone's okay and everything's as it should be, and then wait for full-time. Once the final whistle's gone, it's time to pack everything down, get the stuff that needs to be washed in the laundry, pack up the van, back to the training ground, and ready to do it again next week. Of course, each club differs, and different staff members will have different responsibilities, but we pay tribute to all of those who do it, whether it's the glitz and glamour of the Premier League or a cold Tuesday night in Stoke.
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Pleasure to have your company this Thursday night. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me, it is the former Lioness striker Lianne Sanderson. In this hour, we're going to discuss Leicester City, who have been docked 6 points and now hover above the relegation zone in the Championship. Could they be heading for League One? 03717 223344. Foxes fans, you might want to vent. Why not join us this evening? Plus, we're going to look ahead to a massive weekend of sport, which includes the Super Bowl and the start of the Winter Olympics. Do keep your text coming in. Which rule would you like to see removed from football? 81089 is the text number. You can WhatsApp us as well on 03717 223344. And later on, Lianne will tell us who she thinks is the Premier League's best player this season so far. And you won't want to miss that, because also I think you've delved into your contact book and got a few others.
Just a little bit.
A few others to give us their thoughts as well. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. So we are keeping you right across everything that is happening this evening. And in League Two, Accrington have gone ahead very early on against Salford in just the 4th minute. In fact, Alex Henderson has given them the lead, which dents Salford's hopes of getting into the automatic top 3 places. They are 5th currently, but as for Accrington, that moves them on to 43 points. I know it's very early on. 6 points off the playoffs, so that could be a big goal. And if they could hold on for the win, as I say, could be big as they try to finish in the top 7. We'll keep you updated on that, as we will with France against Ireland in the Six Nations, and lots more as well. And we've been asking for you to get in touch then with those rule changes, and loads of you have been getting in touch. Leanne, did you want to read one out?
There's one that I really feel speaks to me now, because it blows my mind. It's sent in from Anthony Cleary, and he said a rule he'd like to introduce: players being banned from going over to the dugout during a team talk when the goalkeeper goes down.
Okay,
and this has been a really common thing in the women's game, though, but it's happened a lot in the women's game, and it's been a real online topic for 2 years now. And also, managers have also slipped up a little bit on meetings and stuff. They'll say, "Oh, a tactical, timeout." No, it's not NBA basketball. But yeah, goalkeepers are going down, and we can't speculate, because if a goalkeeper is injured, sometimes they are, you can't then say, they're faking injury. But then all of a sudden, goalkeeper goes down. He or she doesn't have to go off. I like that one.
Yeah. And obviously in the past, people have suggested, well, if a goalkeeper does go down injured, that maybe an outfield player should be taken off, or at least go off for the 30-odd seconds that the normal injured players should go off for. Just in the hope that it might stop some of the not so injured players, shall we say, going down. There was also this one from Sean in Colchester, who says, I think we need 4 assistant referees, 1 for each quarter of the pitch.
I like that.
Yeah?
I like that. Depending on, I've always felt like, before VAR came in, right, I always felt like they should have had a referee, an assistant referee, behind the goal, or on the side of the goal
Yeah.
to be able to make decisions in the penalty area. I always felt like it was a no-brainer. Like, thank God they brought in goal line technology a few years ago, because that was the most obvious thing that was needed. But I would still rather human error than VAR. I know we're still not going to open up that can of worms. Sorry, Nat, I went there.
Mentioned it.
I mentioned it. Sorry. We'll have a box for every time I mention it. Little put of money in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like it's obvious that should have been the next situation as opposed to technology. That's just my opinion.
Just quickly, I'm going to read this one out as well. This is from Shadi. I hope I've said that right, in Cambridge. 2 rule changes. Penalty shootouts should be conducted at half-time using the substitutes. Wait, I know you're looking at me funny, but this is the reasoning. The losing team then know that they have to win the game in normal time.
Wait, I'm confused.
So you have a penalty shootout.
So it's 0-0 at half-time, or regardless, we're doing penalties at half-time.
I mean,
all right, go on. I'm not trying.
We haven't gone into that much detail.
All right, sorry,
but it's just that let's assume, there's obviously a draw at half time.
Okay.
So we have a penalty shootout. I know this is
go on.
Fantasy land.
Keep going.
We have a penalty shootout that's conducted at half time. That you only use the substitutes, and then the losing team, it forces the losing team to have to come out and go for it in normal time.
I understand the thought process.
Potentially.
Yeah, I get it.
And it makes half time more interesting, I guess.
I kind of like the half-time stuff that they do with the kids. You know, at Sellers Park.
I thought you were going to say because you're in hospitality.
No, you know me in hospitality. I love a hospitality section now, but you know I'm always in the away end.
Yeah, I know. I
know
that's
that.
True. That is true. I get where you're coming from, Shadi, but I'm not sure that one's going to work. I appreciate it.
I'm not trying to put words into Shadi's mouth, but what I will say is we all want football to be more entertaining.
Yes.
That's the overall thing. Like, teams are not going for it. Teams are being reserved now, aren't they? So the reason why we're thinking of these types of rule changes...
I like it. And actually, then it means, your normal... If it's a 7:45 kickoff, you might be done then by 9:30. You don't have to wait around for extra time and all that malarkey.
Yeah, maybe. One can dream, I guess.
Still get home, to watch.
Come on, Howard, if you're listening, make these changes.
That's good. All right. And this one also I wanted to read is from Matthew near Glasgow. He says, one rule I would change is when taking a penalty, the player has to have a continuous run-up. Now, obviously, they're not allowed to stop, but you do see the stuttering, don't you, sometimes, of players? I get that.
The techniques have changed over the years. Yes. I mean, personally, I can't stand the stutter step. But then people like Bruno Fernandes have a high ratio. Ivan Toney, he does a stutter step. So I think it works for different people. Me personally, when people miss either doing a Panenka or a stutter step, it blows my mind.
Yeah, I hear you. But I do get where you're coming from as well, Matthew, because I do think sometimes that's just not fair on the goalkeeper because they might have...
Oh, do me a favour.
I'm not in the goalkeepers union here.
Come on.
We're going to move on so we don't argue. Let's talk more about Eddie Howe's future, shall we, at Newcastle, and see how the fans are feeling then. And speak to a man who has a very vested interest, Newcastle fan from our Inside the Toon YouTube show and talkSPORT.com. Jack Cunningham joins us this evening. How you doing, Jack?
Hi, Jack.
Good evening. I'm probably doing worse than you too, but yeah.
Oh, why? Is that just in life or just because of Newcastle?
No, just from Newcastle yesterday. Dropping, that was the defence over, wasn't it? Carabao Cup defence over.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen, at least you got down to the last 4. You could have been...
No, don't. That's the worst thing. That's like saying at least you didn't lose. Like, come on, Nat. You're better than...
Well, they did lose, so I can't say that.
I know, we did lose. Lost 5-1.
I'm trying my best. Right, we'll move on from the result from yesterday.
No.
Tell us, Jack, how you feel about Eddie Howe then.
Yeah, Eddie Howe. So I think he's a legend no matter what. Winning that first trophy in 70 years means that he is a legend, and it's been consistent success. There's no way that it hasn't been. He's kind of a victim of his own success now. I think this season maybe we were expecting, even with Isak leaving, still expecting it to be better than 11th, currently 7 points off 5th, and not looking like we're going to be getting back in the Champions League at all. Sort of feeling like the only real opportunity is hopefully maybe Conference League or Europa League of any form of European football. Still had some good nights in the Champions League. Now, the thing is, the fans were chanting for his name all night at Manchester City, and I think the online fan base is a bit split. There's some people who feel that he's taken Newcastle as far as he can, and there's other people who feel as if the club have let him down. Now, the issue we've got here is that David Hopkinson was on talkSPORT yesterday, the CEO, and specifically said that by 2030 Newcastle the ambition is to have won the Premier League, which is quite a mad thing to say, to be honest, considering that's not actually that far away. And equally, you're putting it out there now. You're saying that this is the idea. Now, I'm all for having the ambition. I want Newcastle to be one of the biggest clubs in the world, but I think 5 years is very much pushing it, to put it lightly. And I think now every single thing the club does, and me and certainly probably a lot of the Newcastle fans will judge it on that statement. So is this a step closer towards 2030? Is it not? So if Newcastle end the season without European football and the likes of a Sandro Tonali, a Tino Livramento all leave, then I don't know how you can look at it and say that's a step towards where they want to be. It's not. In fact, it's a massive step back. And actually, Newcastle in a position whereby they would be struggling. And Eddie Howe needs to answer some questions this season. It hasn't been good enough in a lot of ways. They can't get the best out of Nick Waltemada at all, spending £69 million on a striker who is being asked to essentially fill in the Alexander Isak role. There's been no adaptation to how he plays. So we still have two wingers kind of hugging the touchline. The three midfielders are all in a flat line. None of them get near him. And it's starting to make him look pretty poor, I think, when actually he's clearly a top-quality footballer. I saw Gabby Bonahor slating him yesterday and this morning. He's slated him every time he's been on talkSPORT, actually. And I totally disagree. I think Waltemada's an absolute top footballer. I just think we're not playing the correct way to get the most out of him. And I think if you're going to spend £69 million on a striker, you need to find a way to get the most out of him, like we got the most out of Alexander Isak. The entire Newcastle team was built around ensuring that Isak scored as many goals as possible. And that's what we need to do with Waltemada. It's pointless spending that money on him if you're not going to then design the team around him.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, I was talking to Ollie Klink before he went on there. He's a massive Newcastle fan. And like I said, it's a bit like a roller coaster being a Newcastle supporter, isn't it? Because I agree with you. I feel like the club overachieved in recent years, and almost like Eddie Howe's been detrimental to him to a certain degree because the team overachieved. But like your form in Europe in Champions League has actually been okay. You know, against PSG, that's a decent result. But like looking at the results of late, like it was the way that Newcastle lost that game, I think, against Man City. It wasn't like the loss, it was how you lose these games. Like, what is it that's gone wrong? Do you think it's just gone a bit stale for Eddie Howe? Do you think it's like he's taken them as far as they can go?
I think teams in Europe are easy to play against. I think we've seen that by even the fact Tottenham finished in the top four, and look at them in the Premier League.
The Champions League winners though, Jack.
We played really well against PSG, and we played really well against Barcelona as well. But equally, I do think the teams who come out and have a go at us suit us a bit more, because the Newcastle team is full of pace and power. The whole team's been built around pace and power on the counter-attack. If you set up now against Newcastle and put everyone behind the ball, they will pass themselves to death. If the Wolves game, the 0-0 draw at Wolves, was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen, and I just knew we weren't going to score because there was no inventiveness around the box. It was just pass, cross. Newcastle have put the most crosses in from open play this season out of any other Premier League team. It's more than anyone. They've scored once from open play crosses, and that was Waltemada's debut goal against Wolves. Surely at some point you just change the tactics. If that's not, you can't just keep putting these crosses in the box if there's either no one on the end of them or it's just not working. It's different because with Isak, he had Murphy setting him up and the wall basically low crosses in the area and Isak was getting on the end of them. Waltemada is different. This has not been fit. So there needs to be a change here from what we're seeing at the moment, because...
What is the change though, Jack? Like what would that change be?
Well, I think it needs to be a change of formation slightly. Get players around Waltemada. We see them more from him. Get players running off him, running in behind. The transfer window has been and gone. They decided not to sign anyone for whatever reason. The messaging on that's mixed. Eddie Howe said it was because of PSR. Hopkinson and Ross Wilson said we had the money, we decided not to spend it. So that's mixed as well. I don't know how you can look at the squad at the moment and say that it didn't need help. I'm looking at Kieran Trippier, mid-30s, really coming towards the end of being a Premier League footballer, in my opinion. Legs are kind of going. Could have done with backup there with Tino Livramento out. Lewis Hall, been running to the ground, playing basically every minute. A player who's, again, injury-prone, absolutely top-class footballer, but a little bit injury-prone as well. There should have been some help coming from there, but equally now he's got to deal with the squad he's got. And I know he doesn't have much training time, I get it, but equally... You can see it's not working. There's a massive gap in between the defence and the midfield all the time as well. I mean, Reinders after the game yesterday said, I was surprised how much space I had. Like, that's shocking. I don't want to hear an opposition player saying that. That's insane. So there are problems that he needs to sort out. The club are clearly backing him, and most of the fans are still backing him as well, because he deserves that right to be backed. He's delivered everything for us so far, but there are now clear issues that need to be solved.
Oh, Jack.
And against your boys the weekend.
I know. And that is not easy, by the way. That is not easy at all. Like, Brentford have been extremely impressive this season. We do need to win that game. I'm not sure we will.
I'm not sure we will either, but we'll see what happens. It's the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. Jack, we can hear it. We can sense
love it. Thanks,
how
Jack.
you feel about it all. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Have a lovely evening. Cheers.
So that's Jack Cunningham from our Inside the Toon show, which you can find on YouTube. Now, next up, Leicester City have been deducted 6 points, leaving them only above the... I'll say that again. Can't speak this evening. Above the Championship relegation zone on goal difference. Let's not forget, they were a Premier League side last year. So what next for them? We'll bring you another fan's view.
Let's talk about your team.
All right, come on.
Okay.
I've been waiting.
Let's ask the obvious questions, right? Are you going to do the quadruple? I was going to say double.
Oh, quadruple. Steady on.
No, are you going to do that? I'll tell you why I asked, right? It pains me to say it. I think the league's done, right? And I think if you win at the weekend, you've got Sunderland at home and Man City got Liverpool away.
And Villa got Bournemouth away.
Okay. If you win and they lose...
I'm not worried about Villa.
No, I wouldn't be. But I think it's pretty much done, but that would confirm it for me. You're in the final of the Carabao.
Come on.
Right.
Come on. I've got Chelsea boots on today. I should have stepped in something yesterday. Would have gave him some good luck, but obviously it didn't. So we got the Chelsea.
You're one of the favourites, if not the favourites, for the Champions League. And the FA Cup at the moment is a little bit too early. What is it, fourth round? But are you fancying it?
I think quadruple is a big leap. I think personally, I think the league is our priority. Quadruple it's on the cards, but I think one step at a time. We're in the final. Yeah. Let's get the cup nice and early, May 22nd down at Wembley.
How important is that cup to your season?
I think it's a big. You know what? People trying to play it down like, oh, it's just the Carabao Cup. No, it's not. You saw the guy crying yesterday when they lost. I think if we get this cup nice and early, it's just the whole morale and the whole team spirit. It's just going to give us such a big boost to go on and do the rest. So I think it's nice and early, March 22nd down at Wembley. Let's get the cup in. And then we chase the rest. But it's an important cup. And I think the league, the whole season, everyone's been on, oh, you got the best squad, you're going to win. I've been kind of on the fence because we've been here before. Yeah. I mean, the squad, obviously, we ain't had this type of squad, but we've been in the lead. And then, I don't want to say the word, but we've lost it.
I'll say it, bottled it.
So listen, it's looking good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's over yet. It's the Premier League. You can lose. Anyone can beat anyone in this league. You know what I mean? I think the only advantage we have, I think we've got a lot more home games than we do away games.
Okay.
I think we've got like a couple away games left. So, listen, it could be the season, but it's the Premier League.
Trip to South Africa with the Barmy Army on talkSPORT.
This is Kickoff. Thank you very much for being with us. It's the former Chelsea, Arsenal, Juventus striker Lianne Sanderson who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. And how does escaping the winter for the holiday of a lifetime sound? We're giving away an incredible 7-day trip for two to South Africa for the 2027 New Year's test. You're going to spend 6 nights in stunning Cape Town. It is really beautiful. Cheering on England at the iconic Newlands ground with the official Barmy Army. We've covered your flights, your hotel, match tickets, plus £2,500 in spending money. The countdown is on. You've only got until 4 p.m. tomorrow to get your entries in. This is how you enter. You might want a pen and paper for this one. For your chance to win, you can either text the word WIN to 83338. So that's text the word WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or you can call 0343 418 7260. So that's 0343 418 7260. Lines close tomorrow at 4 p.m. That is when you will need to be available to answer your phone if it rings. It's for 18s and over, UK residents only, and this is a network promotion. You can find full T's and C's at talksport.com. Best of luck for that. Just to keep you up to speed with everything that's happening live sport-wise, the Six Nations have got underway. The holders, France, beginning the quest to defend their title and taking on Ireland right now. And no points as of yet scored in this one. 13 minutes on the clock now, although it looks like France are breaking for a first try of the day. Yes, they have indeed. Barney, I think it is, has gone over for the first try of the Six Nations then. So 5 points on the board now for France. And Accrington Stanley still leads Salford in League Two by 1-0. Alex Henderson's 4th minute goal, the difference between the two sides, as Accrington look to edge closer towards the playoff positions. We will continue to update you on all of that. And we, of course, want your contributions as well. We want to know what rule changes you would bring in. And we are not asking for VAR ones. We don't want to go down that route. But we want anything that you think, come on, let's have some common sense, maybe, for example. We've had this one I want to quickly read off the back of, or similar to what Shadi was saying about the penalty shootouts. Keith, Manchester United fan, says, if teams are level at the end of 90 minutes, you firstly have a sudden death penalty shootout, which is then followed by the 30 minutes of extra time. If at the end of extra time teams are still level, then the team, of course, who won the earlier penalty shootout win the game. But this then would make extra time exciting, as teams who lost the penalty shootout would really have to go on the attack.
I like that.
And he says the player perhaps who missed the crucial penalty would then have a chance to redeem themselves. I quite like that.
I like the fact that people are being creative.
Yeah.
And really thinking about it.
I know. I like that a lot. So, yeah, keep those kind of coming into us. We'd love to hear from you. 81089 is the text number.
Can I read this one?
Oh, go on.
From Simon that says, scrap the offside rule altogether. It's become ridiculous. Both teams have 11 players where they choose.
It's true.
Weaknesses. No, it is true. It is true, though.
Where they choose to use them leaves them weak elsewhere.
Yeah.
I like that, Simon. You're absolutely right.
I never thought we'd be living in a day where we'd be sitting here saying, get rid of the offside rule.
If you want someone to be goal hanging, they're goal hanging. That's it.
Let's just go back to how offside used to be, maybe. That was
and
more.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because we're all scratching our heads a lot of the time when we're talking about toes. Although I get it, it's factual, but you know what I mean. 81089 is the text number. The WhatsApp is 03717 2233 444. Now, we really do have to talk about the Championship and the breaking news that emerged from Leicester, who have been plunged into trouble after being given a 6-point deduction for PSR irregularities. That after being found to have breached the EFL's profit and sustainability rules for the 23-24 season. They really have struggled since their relegation from the Premier League and now face the possibility of a second consecutive relegation, with the club now only clear of the bottom three due to goal difference. So what next for them? Joining us to speak about it all is the Leicester Fan TV presenter, Jamie Reid. Jamie, good evening. How are you this evening?
I am good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, we're all right.
Hi, Jamie.
You. Appreciate you joining us under circumstances that I'm sure you've been all waiting to know the outcome of this. It's been hanging over you for quite a while. And I know Mark Albrighton was on Drive earlier on and he was saying he was just thankful that the decision is now out there. But equally, it must be concerning to hear about a 6-point deduction that plunges you into a relegation fight.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this for a long time now, and it's finally come around. We've been expecting it. We didn't know how many points it would be. It could have been 9, it could have been 12. From what we heard of, it was going to be 9, but we luckily came out with 6, which a lot of fans in our community at the moment are saying that we're kind of lucky with that. Obviously, we've seen on social media as well that the Premier League have been looking at nearly going for a 20-point deduction because of the amount of breaches we've done, which, again, looking at 6 now is a lot better than 20. But, yeah, it was a long time coming, and like you said, we were in the bottom 3 basically now.
Jamie, the thing for me, right, the constant and persistent breaches of the PSL, I know it's come back to bite a lot of clubs, but like, don't the fans get to a point where they're just really frustrated at the fact that, you know, you go there, you support your club, and they're making such poor decisions, like, behind the scenes?
I don't know. Like even from 10 years ago now, I'd say it's near enough 10 years from when we won the Premier League. Like, ever since then, obviously with the tragic incident with our previous owner, it's kind of all fell down from there in the fact of poor management, poor decisions everywhere in the club, even to the players and who we're bringing in. And even when it comes to like when we got relegated the first time a few years ago, we brought in Harry Winks from Tottenham and we put him on a 90 grand a week contract in the Championship, which is absolutely mental. So just every decision we've made in the last couple of years is just turned into this massive issue that we've been waiting on, and at least it's finally come out now. But like you said, you don't want to be going to the game every week and being in a position where now it's kind of like every game's a cup final where you've got to make sure you don't go down.
But does that then make it more imperative that they decide upon a new manager as quick as possible?
So this is the thing as well. I don't know if that's the thing we need to do at the moment, because from what I've read as well, when we sacked Steve Cooper, when we sacked Bruno and Nistelrooy, we're still paying for their contracts since they left. And now it's like, do we bring another one in? Because we obviously just got rid of Marty Cifuentes. Are we still paying for his contract? I don't know. At the moment, in my own personal opinion, I think as much as he's not a manager as such, Andy King is probably one of the best players we've had when we won the league, to the fact that I think for the cheapest option is to keep him. And as much as he's not a manager, he knows the club, he knows what he needs to do. So hopefully, if he can get the players going again, because we've been so poor recently, that we could really push on and get something with Andy King in charge.
I suppose as well, when you look at the recent managerial history, they don't seem to last long at Leicester. So that is the other problem you have. You don't want to shoehorn in someone now who is, as you say, might lose their job come the summer.
Yeah, I've been one of the fans on our channel that said that I'm very much into the passing style of football, and I know a lot of fans don't like it because it's really slow and whatnot. But for me, the last few managers have been to that style and it's just not worked. And the only manager I feel like could have worked when we went back up to the Premier League 2 years ago was Enzo Maresca. And obviously we lost him to Chelsea, which didn't help. And then we brought in Steve Cooper, we brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy. Not one of them really worked. And I think it's harder when you're in the Premier League, but even now in the Championship, the team we've probably got on paper, we should be, I won't say cruising the league, but we shouldn't be anywhere near where we are now.
Jamie, how realistic do the fans feel like relegation is possible? I mean, because it feels unfathomable, really, to think a club like Leicester could go down to League One. But, like, is that realistically on the fans' mind, or is it a matter of, yes, we've been deducted, but we'll move on from this? Because the results of late haven't been the best.
Even before the points deduction came in, everyone was saying that because we're waiting for it, it was already on our minds of, are we going to be in a relegation battle already? And now it's come in, and obviously it's not as much as a lot of fans thought it would be. There's every chance we can get out of it. Again, we're not actually in the bottom three right now. I think the teams below us, I think we are better than them on paper and playing wise. I know we've not been the best informed team at the moment, but I think hopefully this could go either two ways. It could really fold us and stop making us play as well as we can, or it could really bolster the team and go, right, we need to make sure we don't go down now. But yeah, I think it's been on everyone's mind even before it came out today that we could be in a relegation battle now.
Look, Jamie, we do appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Jamie.
It's not easy to talk about the predicament of your club. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. Just to read Leicester's statement that they put out, they said that they, of course, were disappointed by the outcome. They say, while the Commission's findings significantly reduced the unprecedented scale of the sanction originally sought by the Premier League, the recommendation remains disproportionate and does not adequately reflect the mitigating factors presented, the importance of which cannot be overstated given the potential impact on our sporting ambitions this season. They say we are now reviewing the decision in full and considering the options available to us. So I'm sure they'll be looking through it legally to see whether or not there's grounds for an appeal, and you never know, the outcome for Leicester fans might turn out to be different. But at the end of the day, Lianne, it is the Leicester fans that are going to suffer.
I feel for them.
Yeah.
Like we were just saying to Jack there, I think, Jamie, sorry, I think, yeah, it's difficult for the fans because you're looking at a Leicester Football Club that have won the FA Cup, you know, won the Premier League, one of the greatest stories I've ever seen in my lifetime. Realistically, I never thought we'd ever see that happen. And I feel for the fans. I really do.
Yeah, tough times. Okay, up next, we are going to look ahead to one of the big sporting occasions of this year, the Super Bowl. And it's live on talkSPORT this Sunday night. You're tuning in to kick off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
You can believe what? Why is it so hard to believe a black man in a white man? Understand me? Why is it so hard to believe a black man in a white man?
Why you don't believe it?
Why is it?
Let me answer the question.
Yeah,
go on.
So we go there.
First and foremost, it's got nothing to do with colour.
No, it does. This whole country got some. This whole world got something to do with race. You think you got? You think you pan out? You think you have a? You think you done had a great life? You think your life has been like mine?
How is Derek Chisora then, out of curiosity, given he's a black man, a national treasure in this country then? It's not about colour. You called somebody a chick. I asked you a question.
Oh, come on. You have a whole lot of black people around this
the question. You like the question. You like the question. All right, I moved on.
Stop it.
I moved on.
Man, come on, man. Y'all can't tell, man.
So the bronze bomber, there he is.
Yeah, so come on, man.
Come on, we can have a disagreement, can't we?
Life, as a little boy and I bet your view as a little boy is totally different than my view as a little boy. Most black people, why we so into it with each other, because we have PTSD. We done been through so much so much
you wanted to move on, right?
Come on, man. It's hard to move on when you don't know the truth, and that's when I come in and try to give you a vision, a little insight of what we go through as black people, man.
I got it.
You know, you don't get it.
Well, okay.
None of y'all get it.
Where do you want me to go?
Y'all don't get it. And that's the problem. You think you get what you don't understand.
Okay.
Why is it so hard?
Pull it back into the fight. Let's talk about the fight.
It's hard to put it back. I'm from the South. You understand?
Come on, let's pull it back into the fight.
It's hard when y'all don't understand. I got it. Another situation. I said I didn't want to talk about the situation. Now you got me riled up.
Fair enough.
Right.
Good evening. This is Kickoff. This is talkSPORT, and it is the former England striker Lianne Sanderson who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. Just to keep you up to speed with everything that's happening sport-wise, France are now 12-0 up against Ireland in the opening Six Nations match. 2 tries they have now scored, with Mathieu Jalibert going over for their second. That second one not converted. The first one, though, was. We are, 36 minutes into the League Two encounter, where Accrington Stanley still lead Salford by a goal to nil as they try to edge closer to the playoffs. And we want your contributions, as we always do with anything we are discussing, in particular on your rule changes that you'd love to see brought in. It can be as wacky as you like. We're just doing it free for all. It's just no VAR chat. We don't want to go down that route. We'll get to them a little bit later on. But Lianne, let's discuss the latest initiative that has been announced by the Premier League, and it's called Premier League with Pride, which the league says brings together the ongoing LGBTQ+ work that the league and clubs carry out across the year to help deliver long-term change. All Premier League matches then between the 6th and the 12th of February, so basically from tomorrow until next week, will be dedicated to With Pride, aligning with the LGBTQ plus History Month. The Premier League Chief Executive, Richard Masters, said this about it. This initiative demonstrates our ongoing support and our commitment to ensuring that football is for everyone and inclusivity is embedded across all areas of the game. This comes off the back of course, the Rainbow Laces campaign that I think has run for about 10 years or so. And this is a new sort of version of their new idea that they are bringing in. So what do you make of the idea of this?
I mean,
which I think is going to include, it's more about advertising rather than players wearing anything.
And this is the issue in itself, right? Because the players last year, a number of players like Mark Gahey, Mazraoui refused to wear the zip up. Mark Gahey wore the armband and put, words
Wrote
over
on
it,
yeah.
which I actually felt was more hurtful than someone not wearing it because of what it said, you know? And I think that someone like me, that is my community, I was the first ever England player to come out. I think it's a difficult one because I just think a lot of these things are just token gestures, genuinely. I hope we get to a point where I love rainbow laces. I thought it was fantastic. 10 years ago it started when it wasn't even spoke about. Now we're getting to a point now in 2026 where people are saying, why do we need to talk about this? Why do we need to keep talking about this? Well, we've come so far, but not far enough. The fact that we don't have an active, openly gay footballer in the Premier League just about epitomises that. So there is still a lot of work to do. But for me, like these token gestures have been for a month. Like, this is people's lives, Natalie. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, like, why can't it just be a continuous thing? Yeah. Why does it have to be like, okay, this is a month. This is Black History Month. This is Rainbow Laces Month. This is Rainbow... Like, I don't really understand that. And then you get people turn around and say, stop throwing it in our faces and all that. And I don't know. I think we've come far, but not far enough.
Yeah, and I know what you mean, though, because in a way, you don't want it to be, this is a day where we celebrate and then we forget about it tomorrow, essentially, as how it feels. It would be nice if players feel comfortable enough to just wear rainbow laces because they just support something, but wear it all the time. They don't have to just, or if they fancy it next week, they don't. The week after, they do. It's just because they want to wear it and they show their support in different ways. But I get what you're saying. The tokenism, that doesn't feel right in any way.
And it kind of feels that way. Like I said, I'm all for people trying to make things better. But at the same time, like, I haven't spoken to anyone about this. Does that make sense? And I'm probably the most actively open gay footballer there is. Do you know what I mean? Not that I need to be involved in everything, because it gets to a point where whenever there was stuff going on, it would always be like, let's speak to Lianne. But allies are also really important as well, Natalie.
Of course.
And I think we have grown. We have got to a really good place. And I'll back any campaign that's kind of trying to help people. But I do think, like, last year I did feel really disappointed with Mark Gahey and what he did, and everyone could say, why are you throwing it in people's faces? To me, like, yeah, some people it might only be an armband, but it's almost like there are players in the Premier League that are gay. They exist. We don't live in dinosaur times, but they shouldn't feel forced to come out now.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we should just feel like they're supported, like that type of thing. Not saying anyone's come out to me before people start saying I know things. I don't know anything, but we live in a world where 1 in 4 people relate, with the LGBTQ plus community. You're telling me that a footballer in the Premier League there's no footballers that are gay?
Certainly no open one
right,
anyway. Yeah,
exactly. Like,
right,
please.
yeah.
So we need to create these safe spaces where people feel comfortable. So like I said, these things, if they work, great. But we have to create safe spaces where footballers can feel that they can come out now, because they exist and it's something that they have to hide. And that's horrible, because people I know have been there where they've had to hide, and it can make an impact on your performance, genuinely. Like, it really does, because if you having to lie about your life, imagine that, carrying that around. So listen, I'll back campaigns because I want people to feel, comfortable, and I want people to feel, but at the same time, I just think a lot of these things are very token gesture, and, it allows people to kind of continue in this way.
Just quickly on this subject then, in terms of inclusivity, do you think football in general is at its best for inclusivity, or
no not at all? Because, me, I go in the away end, and whatever football match I'm at, like, if you are on a train, for example, and some of the chants that still go on, like, let's not talk about the lovely, like, oh, I love football, right? But sometimes I do feel quite scared when I go to football matches, and that's the reality. I've said that to you before. And I think as a woman, you sometimes feel that way. And people are kidding themselves when they turn around and say, oh my God, it's so much better now. It's such a safe place. It isn't. It isn't, because some of the chants that are still being said are absolutely disgusting. And there's times where I just put my hood up on the train, because I don't want people to come and talk to me, because I feel scared sometimes. Not because I'm gay or, that's not the reason, but it could be many different reasons. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that doesn't feel safe at a lot of football games.
Wow, I totally agree with you. Absolutely. We will see how this latest
good luck to it. Listen, good luck to it. I'll back it.
Works. But Premier League with pride, as I say, starting from tomorrow and running until next week is the new Premier League campaign. Right, for a few minutes, let's switch to American football for a moment. As this weekend, live on talkSPORT, you've got Super Bowl 60 between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. Live from the Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. To look ahead to the game, we can go live then to California. It's all right for some. And speak to talkSPORT's NFL reporter Will Varney. How you doing, Will?
I'm very well. Nat, Lianne, thank you so much for having me. Yes, welcome to San Francisco. Look, guys, this is it's been a crazy few days, all building up to Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, of course, live on talkSPORT, and we've been based at the Moscone Centre here in Radio Row for the last few days, mingling with some of the greats of the game, some celebrities as well. Look, you both know Will Gavin. He's been schmoozing. It's fair to say, and look, we've really been you can imagine that, and we've been enjoying every second as we build up to the game on Sunday.
Has he become a celebrity?
Oh, that I can tell you for a fact, yes. I mean, just before you joined me, he had somebody come over and do an interview with him. So that just gives you an indication of how this week's been going. He's been out and about speaking with so many players who've been recognising our play calls from this season when we've been doing the international games, whether it's been in Berlin, in Madrid, in London, and even just the playoffs in Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago. So many people have been loving the radio calls that he's done, and he's done a fantastic job this season. He's reaping the rewards right now with a bit of a celebrity status on Radio Row. I think that's fair to say.
He's gone you guys have gone viral a few times. I've seen a lot of those videos. But Will, I want to talk to you about the fact that Seattle Seahawks are even in this Super Bowl, because no one expected them to get there. Beginning of the season, no one saw it coming. No one expected them to beat the Rams. My father-in-law's a massive Seattle Seahawks fan, so we're having a Super Bowl party this weekend. But, talk to me about the Seahawks this season, because, like I said, no one expected them to get to this point, did they, at all?
No, it's been a fantastic season. Look, it's only the second year that head coach Mike Macdonald's in the role, and he had big shoes to fill coming in for Pete Carroll, who's a legend in Seattle. And this team, it felt like they were on the verge of something. They were 10-7 record last year, but ultimately fell short. And coming into this year, they made some big decisions. They traded away their star quarterback. They traded away their star wide receiver. Many people, like you say, Lianne, were incredibly doubtful of their chances of even making the playoffs, let alone the big spectacle on Sunday. But with a fantastic coaching staff, fantastic front office with a GM, and they trade for Sam Darnold, who's been the ultimate redemption story in the NFL. Everyone loves an underdog, right? Whatever sport it is. And Sam Darnold, going through his career, drafted in the first round back in 2018. He struggled at the New York Jets. He was cast aside from the Carolina Panthers and ultimately had to sit as a backup quarterback and sort of earn his keep, and he did that with the San Francisco 49ers. Gets a fantastic chance last year with the Vikings where he proved himself, and he's just gone from strength to strength. Another 14-win season for him, and he has taken the Seattle Seahawks on this crazy roller coaster ride where, like you say, Lianne, nobody expected them to beat the 49ers or the Rams this season, and they did just that in the playoffs, and they head into this game as huge favourites against the Patriots.
Well, you know what it's like when we sort of latch on to teams or we latch on to people because we're patriotic. So we think, there's someone that's British involved in this. So tell us about the Seahawks' defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Adam Durd, it's a fantastic story now. Will spoke to him earlier in the week at opening night with both the Seahawks and the Patriots camp at the San Jose Convention Center, and it was a really interesting chat. Aden, he was born in Middlesex, and he sort of grew up, and he was the defensive coordinator of the London Warriors back in 2011, and this is a guy who has really taken it step by step, a big part of NFL UK, their head of development going through the stages, and he then became part of the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys, and he's had a real impact on this league. And up until, it would have been 2 years ago, he became the first British-born defensive coordinator in the National Football League. He was brought in by Mike McDonald, who is the head coach of the Seahawks, and he's seen as this defensive guru, the next hot shot. And Aden has just learned from him, and they've built this connection, the both of them. The Seahawks have, if not the best defense in the National Football League. They've gone from strength to strength, and Aden, he was hounded by people, as you can imagine, from UK reporters, international media on Monday, and he was so calm, but I think it's almost living in this bubble that I don't think he expected to be in this situation. Nobody really expected the Seahawks to be in this situation, but he could well be having a victory parade on Sunday night if the Seahawks beat the Patriots. And yeah, it's a fantastic story.
Will, how fitting, talking of stories, 10 years since Russell Wilson threw that interception against the Patriots. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday because I love Russell Wilson. But how much of this is a bit of a redemption story, the fact that it's 10 years since that happened?
Yeah, Seattle fans will not forget what happened in those dramatic moments of Super Bowl 49, that's for sure, Lianne. And look, heading into this game this weekend, the Patriots looking to make history. It's worth noting, this is a New England Patriots team that for years, of course, we've known about in the UK. You hear the name Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and immediately your ears prick up and you know that's the New England Patriots. But this is a new era. We've got Drake May, who's a 23-year-old quarterback for the Patriots. He's in line to be named MVP potentially tonight at NFL Honors, which is why I'm wearing the suit, by the way. I just want to make clear, I have not been wearing this regularly. Thank you so much. Look, Sam Stevens, your producer, said I was looking dapper, and already I was sort of, feeling good about myself, but it makes it even better now. NFL Honors tonight is going to be amazing, seeing, like I mentioned, if Drake May is going to be named MVP, and he's had a stellar season, and Mike Vrabel is the head coach of this team, and he came into a team this year that had won just 4 games. Instead now, they've won 14. They've won through the playoffs all the way to the big game this Sunday, where they could potentially win an historic 7th Super Bowl title. It has been a just phenomenal season from the Patriots. It's a new Patriots, it's different, but ultimately these guys are underdogs. This is a bit of a ragtag group of guys that they've got. No real stars other than their young quarterback who's in only his 2nd season in the league. So many people are predicting a Seahawks blowout victory on Sunday, but look, you can never write off an underdog, especially in a Super Bowl, as we've seen in previous years. I think it's going to be some game.
Just let us know exactly the coverage then, what we can expect, what we look forward to timing-wise, etc.
Yeah, it's been a really busy week here on Radio Row. We have a daily show going out 5 p.m. in the UK on talkSPORT 2. New episode of that coming tomorrow with all of the big name interviews that we've been securing here on Radio Row. We just spoke with the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen, so that interview is going to be coming your way from 5 p.m. tomorrow on talkSPORT 2 on Road to the Super Bowl. And then Sunday, it's going to be crazy. Live at Levi's Stadium, in-stadium play-by-play commentary. Myself on hosting duties alongside Will Gavin, Patriots, the former Patriots offensive lineman Ross Tucker is on the call alongside the NFL Daily host Greg Rosenthal. So it's a 3-man booth. Brilliant. It's going to be so much fun at Levi's in Santa Clara, and we get underway from 11 p.m. on Sunday. And it's also available as a watch-along, by the way, on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. So if you want to see us in the booth, our reactions live, I'd highly recommend you doing that, that's for sure.
Jet lag for you. You remembered everything. Fair play.
Brilliant work,
Oh,
Will.
no. As you can see, Will Gavin, look, he's a celebrity. He has to just crash every shot.
Crikey.
Exactly. Look, this is every time. This is what the man does. But, yeah, we're going to have so much fun here in San Francisco.
Don't forget to bring us back the merch. We'll have some of that.
We need merch.
We'll bring back some merch. I won't be jet-lagged. Don't worry about it, guys. I'll be fit and firing when I come back on Monday.
Superb. Will,
Thanks,
thank you.
Will.
Enjoy Sunday night as well, then. It should be a cracker. OK, on the way next, we're going to look ahead to another major sporting event. The Winter Games in Milan, of course, which officially starts tomorrow. This is Kick Off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18 and over, BigGambleAware.org.
listen. Look, tonight's a tough. Dom. Look, tonight is a tough night. I get it. It is a poor performance. You look like you're a bit flat. You look like you've run out a bit of steam. But to say that he's under pressure, I'm amazed that you're saying it, because you sound like you know what you're talking about, Dom. And I'd be amazed if you think about Eddie Howe getting the sack. You won the Carabao Cup last season. It's the first time you've won a trophy at like what? 30 years or something ridiculous, right?
70 years.
70 years.
And
right, so you got...
I cannot thank that bloke enough for giving me that day at Wembley.
Okay,
It's
but
the
so
best
where's
day
the
of my
credit?
life.
So where's the credit in the bank then? You're in the Champions League. You've qualified for the playoffs, right? You're 7 points off fourth, right? You sold your best player that you've seen since probably Alan Shearer in Isak last season, right?
And reinvested the money.
Yeah, but you've been reinvested it in money on players who are nowhere near as good as Isak. You know,
So
and that's
then
just
fundamentally something is wrong. Howe wants control of transfers. If that's Howe's control of transfers, he should be nowhere near them. If he was at any other club, any other big club, if he was at Man City, Man United, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, he'd have been sacked pre-Christmas.
No, he wouldn't, mate.
And there's no
He
denying
wouldn't.
that.
I don't believe that.
He would. Chelsea have proven that before, Jamie.
But Chelsea,
Your club have
you
done it
can't
before.
compare Chelsea to Newcastle. You can't, Don. I'm sorry.
Your lot, Jamie, San Mourinho, the week before a cup final, you probably would have stood a chance of winning with Mourinho in charge. But Ryan Mason never made a game in his life before in front of him.
but that was a terrible decision.
No, just before we look, Dom, I understand what you're saying. You're not the only Newcastle fan I've spoken to about this. There is still a lot of football to be played. Okay, you're out the Carabao Cup, disappointed. You couldn't hold on to it. You won last year. Where for the rest of this season now, Eddie Howe has got to prove that he is more than capable, because there is only 7 points between it. There's a lot of traffic in between it. But what he's got to prove now is that he is capable of making a challenge in and around those European places.
Welcome to Kickoff on talkSPORT. It is Lianne, Sanderson and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10 this evening. And a little bit later on, we're going to get Lianne to tell us who she thinks is the player of the season in the Premier League and why. And she's got some of her friends to give us their thoughts too, and people you'll know very well. But before that, let's turn our attention to another massive sporting occasion that officially gets underway this weekend. It is the Winter Games in Milan Cortina. Team GB are taking 53 athletes to northeast Italy. So the question is, what chances are there of some success? Let's speak to Winter Games correspondent John Cushing, who joins us. How are you doing, John?
Hi, Natalie. Yeah, good, thank you.
Come on then. How hopeful are we that we can come away with some success?
Oh, well, look, the medal target is between 4 and 8. That's what UK Sport have set Team GB. And it's the ambition. They don't call it a medal range anymore. It's an ambition. That's what they want to do. We won 2 medals in Beijing. It didn't work out at all. They were both in curling, a gold and a silver, if you remember, literally on the last day and the penultimate day. But I think this year we go in with higher hopes. And the reason we say that, and this is the stats behind it, is that we have more World Championship medals this season in winter sports than at any other time and before Beijing. So 21 World Championship medals in these sports, including 8 golds. When we went to Beijing, there were just 8. So it does show that we're in form. And a few names that I'd like to just highlight with you quickly in skiing and snowboarding, which are sports we probably don't really talk about, but these are young people who are doing.
So can I just say, John, most people are going, how? Where are they doing this?
Well, they're doing it in Europe and they're doing it in the States, and they have to go away from the UK. But these are Scottish. A lot of them are Scottish athletes. 32% of Team GB are Scottish, which shows that that Scotland really is the place from a British point of view for winter sports. But Kirsty Muir is a free ski X Games gold medalist and silver medalist from last week. She's a 21-year-old from Aberdeen. You've got Mia Brooks in the snowboard, is a 19-year-old gold and bronze medal from the X Games 2 weeks ago, and Zoe back in 23 a gold medalist in the free ski halfpipe. They all should get medals, but you never know with snow. That's the thing. It could literally change at any moment. And then there's curling, and then there's skeleton, and there's also figure skating as well. For the first time in 30 years, we could win a medal since Torvill and Dean did it in 1994.
And John, just to pick up on, my question to you was going to be about the facilities of like a Team GB athlete, because I remember when I've gone and played football in like Scandinavia, and you often see all the ski slopes and the training, but like, how are these people like training? I saw on the TV earlier, I was saying to my wife, like, there was a professional bobslayer, and I was like, where are they doing
and
this?
how can
like,
they
how
finance
amazing.
that?
Yeah, like,
so
it's amazing.
It comes from the National Lottery and the UK government. So UK Sport is the overarching organisation that dishes out this cash. It's £32.5 million for the last 4 years for the Winter Olympics. And you can argue, is it money well spent? And one curler, so we've got the men's, women's and team both out there, and the mixed doubles at the moment. Each curler has cost £600,000 to put them through what they've done for the last 4 years. So if you come back with 4 to 8 medals, you could sit there and argue that that is money well spent. I think if, like Beijing, you end up with 2, then and there were cutbacks after Beijing. GB Snow Sport, who run the snowboard and skiing events and snowcross and all that kind of stuff, they had their money cut, and so they had to make amend do. But actually, I think in some ways that's made them work a little bit harder, and the athletes want it a bit more. But yeah, no, they are professional athletes, absolutely.
No, I just have a lot of respect, because I just don't think the facilities, we don't really have those type of facilities in the UK. So that was kind of like my thought process. But John, what can we expect from the opening ceremony?
Well, remember the big moment in Paris a couple of years ago? It was at the top of Eiffel Tower with the great Celine Dion. We have Mariah Carey this year for the Milano Cortina games. She will be in the San Siro. She's singing an Italian song. That's all I know. So she's not going to sing All I Want for Christmas. But all we want is some medals. But yeah, so she's really the big star. You've got Andrea Botticelli. There's an actress from White Lotus, an Italian actress from White Lotus. She'll be in the opening ceremony as well. But yeah, the big thing to say on the opening ceremony is, for the first time ever, there are two opening ceremonies and 2 cauldrons, one in Milan and one in Cortina.
Okay. Look, we've still got a little bit of time, and I'm not even sure how to even ask this question. But yeah, male ski jumpers, tell us more.
Yes. So there is a story in most of the papers today, as you can probably imagine, where the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, have said they will look into, I'm not sure how much they really want to look into this, but they will look into allegations from a German newspaper that ski jumpers are injecting acid into their penises to enlarge them. Which effectively, when they're in their skin-tight suit, allows the fact that there's slightly more of a bulge, which means that there's more of a drag, which means you help flying, and it actually results in more length. I never thought I would be having this conversation with you on the radio. I'm talking about the jumping length, obviously.
Yeah.
So
do you know what? You've explained it perfectly.
I'll let you take that one.
I just want to know who was the guinea pig for this? Who decided I'm going to try this?
Can I point out the International Skiing Federation has said there is absolutely no evidence that anyone has done this. No, but who's going to admit it? To be honest, the comments on the Times article are well worth the read. The first one that made me giggle was, "Where can I buy some? I'm asking for a friend."
Yes, we will leave it there just as we go into the watershed.
Great professionalism.
Yeah,
Love it.
wonderful, John. And we look forward to hearing your updates throughout the winter games as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're going to quickly move on, because what more can we say? We will be right across everything, of course, that happens at these winter games in Milan then over the next couple of weeks. By the way, France are storming ahead in their Six Nations opener against Ireland. At the break, they lead 22-0. Okay, on the way next, we'll have the final hour of the show where Lianne will tell us who she thinks is the player of the season so far. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
just give me a quick one. You're not an Arsenal fan, but Piers Morgan yesterday upset a lot of people. Just give me a little take on what you heard him say yesterday and how you feel about it.
He's just doing it to wind everyone up, and he had idiots like me on early breakfast going, what on earth are you talking about? Because how can you have... This Arsenal squad is the best in the league, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. And you can't be the best ever anything without winning stuff. You can't compare this Arsenal squad to teams that have won. I think of every City squad under Pep that has actually backed it up by winning things.
What have Arsenal do?
But it's an if. You can't come out and say that now when they've won zero. They've won the FA Cup. Yeah. We will see come May what happens. But even if they do win a couple of trophies, is that the best ever squad assembled? No. Have you looked at Barcelona under Pep Guardiola? Have you looked at Real Madrid squads over the years? Like bringing on,
I think man for man,
bringing on Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli to me doesn't equate to the best ever squad.
But they've got probably 25 top players. They had to let Ranieri go on loan.
But that was the wrong decision.
I know, but
that was the wrong decision.
I think I have to sort of agree with Piers.
It's the best ever.
Yeah, because of
in world football, Gabby.
Because of quality and numbers. That's what I mean. In like they've got two teams.
You're talking about right now.
Right now, yeah.
Comparing that to teams that we've seen in the Premier League. I saw the 2010-11 Champions League final. Carlos Puyol was on the bench for Barcelona, as was Thiago Alcantara.
Yeah, did they have 25 top players?
But I'm talking about the Arsenal squad. That Man United...
Everyone knows there are 20 managers in the Premier League, yeah? Well, actually, no. Around 3/4 of them are not managers. The terms manager and head coach are often used interchangeably to describe Premier League bosses, but they're actually two different jobs. So let's explain how and why. For years, fans referred to Mikel Arteta as Arsenal's manager, but I'm afraid technically...
I don't think so, no.
From his first day on the job, he was the Gunners' head coach. Let's pick a random moment in time, February 2025. Only 6 Premier League bosses actually held the official title of manager rather than head coach. Man City's Pep Guardiola, David Moyes of Everton, Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna, Southampton's Ivan Juric, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace and Leicester's Ruud van Nistelrooy were the only actual managers of their respective teams. Everyone else? That's right, head coach, including Ruben Amorim at Man United. He took over from Erik ten Hag, a man who had held the title of manager. Might come as a surprise that Amorim's appointment marked the first time ever that Man United had a head coach instead of a manager. But to understand why they made that decision, you also have to get what the difference is between a head coach and a manager. A manager's got a huge range of responsibilities. They're not just in charge of training and player lineups, they're also heavily involved in player sales and transfers. Critical stuff. But a head coach's role is far more focused on team training and performance on the pitch. So whereas Ten Hag was highly involved with decisions around transfers during his tenure, the intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025, there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only really in charge on the pitch. And the way things are going, it might not be long before all 20 clubs have got head coaches, and the job position of football manager in the top flight is no more.
Good evening. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me it is the former Arsenal women's striker Lianne Sanderson. Coming up this hour, We're going to discuss our shining stars in the Premier League season so far. We'll be joined by Catherine Batt from The Telegraph to discuss what's been a fascinating week in the world of women's football. Plus, we'll build up to a huge Premier League weekend on the talkSPORT network, including Leeds against Nottingham Forest and Manchester United taking on Tottenham. 03717 223344. That's the number you can call us on. That's the number you can WhatsApp us on, or you can text us to 81089 and join in the fun here on Kickoff on talkSPORT. So many of you have been getting in touch this evening about your rule changes, and some of you have gone pretty deep into it, I must say. For example, Stu, I can't read them all out, but you've gone for 7 different changes that you would bring in. I'll read out a couple, for example, where you say fouls on an attacker where it's 1-on-1, but a free kick then allows the team to sort of reset and bring everyone back into the defensive lineup, for example. It says, why don't they keep the players behind the free kick who were behind the breakaway foul by 5 yards? So it kind of gives the attacker who was brought down, I suppose the attacking team, that sort of advantage, because obviously you brought them down while they're on the attack, and therefore you get the defence all coming back to reset.
Yeah.
Or everyone back to reset, then it's maybe harsh on the attacking team. I get where you're coming from.
I like the fact people have really thought about this. I thought we were going to get ones about VAR constantly, but this is proper thought process.
Stu also suggests whoever gets fouled in the penalty area should take the penalty, not anyone else.
That's what we used to do in school in the playground.
Were you always trying to win a penalty then?
Nah.
No?
Not me. I don't dive now. Come on.
I was not suggesting you were diving. As I said, there's plenty more from Stu. I can't read them all out.
Can I read this one from Jeffries?
Please do.
Hi, ladies. No need to change the rules to make football exciting. Change the point system to 4 points for a win. Keep it at 1 point for a draw.
Yes.
But what would be the point of that, though? Do you know? No pun intended. But what would be the point of making it 4-1? Just because?
Because it just makes the table more exciting, maybe.
Okay.
If you get 4 points for a win, I suppose. Where else? There were some other ones as well that I'd seen.
Ban throw-ins.
Ban throw-ins. Hey, long throw-ins. That's a weapon for Brentford. We're not getting
not
rid of
just
that.
Brentford.
No, I know, that's true. Matt has said the league should be decided not by points, but by goal difference. Games would be far more exciting as everyone will want to win every game by loads of goals. That's from Matt. From Fareham, he says it's an idea though that was stolen by by his mate Kyle. I wonder if you're saying that, Matt, in case you're thinking we're all going to go, that's terrible. But actually, sounds quite fun. I know what you're suggesting there. Goals, goals, goals. Isn't that what we want?
Yep.
So that's not a bad one. There's loads of others, I must say. I can't see them all because
some people have written literally books, which has been amazing, but we can't read them out because we'll be here all night.
I know, but I love that depth that people have gone into. A lot of people are suggesting as well, timekeepers. We want timekeepers. Stop the clock and all that sort of thing.
Wasn't that the purpose of multi-ball though?
It was, but
the goalkeepers one though, them holding onto the ball, the new rule they brought in, it hasn't been implemented.
Well,
let's be honest, it hasn't. It hasn't.
I don't think we see corners given. I think there was maybe one corner at the start of the season, maybe given. I don't think we've seen
that rule was brought in and it has not been implemented because the fans were even calling out the second.
We're all chanting it down, aren't we? But
they've not implemented that.
It ain't happening. Shall we discuss? Oh, please, by the way, keep them coming into us. We're with you until 10. Let's discuss the player of the season so far in the Premier League, Lianne.
I think it's going to come as a shock to some people, I might say.
Will it? Okay. And the best thing about this, you're going to give us your take, but you've also consulted your phone book.
Yeah.
And found a few others.
Few ringers.
Given us their thoughts. So why don't we first of all go with your player? Are you giving us a player or a top 3? How are we doing this?
I'm giving you a top 3 because I want to. And I asked,
you make the rules.
But I asked my friends, which I'll go into detail about in a minute.
Yep.
I asked Robbie Keane, I asked Lucy Wald, Darren Lewis. Right. A few others I asked that pied me, but I'll say that for another day.
Rude.
But my 3, drum roll, are Declan Rice.
Yeah. Oh, there's a surprise.
Bruno Fernandes. And Igor Thiago. Hey. And you know what? Yeah, people can say, "Oh, you're Man United, coach, you're being biased." Like Bruno Fernandes, Nat. Like I'll talk about Declan Rice again in a minute because I can do a whole 3 hours on him. But I feel like he's a type of player because everyone's annoyed by him. They don't like the way he shouts at the ref and he's always moaning. But this guy is unbelievable now. Honestly, it's probably the way you feel about Igor Thiago and Jordan Henderson is how I feel about Bruno.
Don't like the way you sniggered at that one, but anyway, go on.
Bruno Fernandes, what he's done, like he's had the most goal involvements in the Premier League, creating. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd still like him to score a few more goals. He's only scored 5 this year, but the assists are unbelievable. Like, he just leads by example as well, for me, on the pitch. Dropping of the shoulder, that assist he got when he lobbed it in the air. Do you know what I mean? Like, he does things that other players can't do, but I feel like people never put him in that realm of being like the best player in the Prem. Declan Rice, I mean, the guy's just a joke. Like, he's just going from strength to strength. But like what Stuart Pearce said before, like, he should be the next captain of England, captain of Arsenal, just an unbelievable bloke. And I feel like everything he does off the pitch as well now, like when he's in interviews, he's just normal. I love it because he's just a normal lad. Like, he loves football, loves his family, and you can see he just loves playing football. And Igor Thiago, I mean, 16 goals in 24 games.
Not bad.
Unbelievable. So they're my 3. Can I give you my other friends that have told me a few things?
Go on then.
These might... Gabriel have to give a special mention to as well because he's been amazing. Darren Lewis has gone with Ekatike.
Yeah, he's had a good season.
Igor Thiago.
Yeah.
And Wirtz. Now,
Florian
the Wirtz one, that one caught me by surprise. Like, and then I asked Darren, you know, I questioned him. I'm like, Florian Wirtz? Like, what? And he said, Wirtz and Ekatike have combined for 6 goals in all competitions this season, more than any other 2 Premier League players. And I'm like, I love football because we can have a conversation and we divide opinion, but like, I'm not having that Wirtz is in the top 3. He has got better of late, but nowhere near it. Soboslai would be more likely to be in my team than Wirtz.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of Liverpool bias there from him, but that's okay.
Okay,
we allow
shall we move on?
Yes,
Robbie
please.
Keane.
Yes.
Robbie Keane said Shirky, Rice, Brian, Robbie. And I asked Robbie about Robbie, what he liked about him being obviously a former icon Premier League player. And he said that it's so hard to score goals in the Premier League. And Robbie has made that look easy.
Yeah.
So respect that.
I like that choice.
Lucy Ward's gone with Rice, Elliot Anderson, Morgan Rogers.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, Morgan Rogers beginning of the season, we're like, it's Villa, not our second team, I'm not going to say that, but we've done a lot of Villa games.
We've done a lot of Villa and Forest.
And I've enjoyed going to Villa.
Yep.
And we were there when Morgan Rogers was more or less being, not booed, but like, anytime he did anything, the fans were on him. And then look what happened. He turned the corner. Like, and he was good last year, you know, getting Young Player of the Year, PFA. So yeah, and then that's.
So that was, could you remind me of the last 3 there?
Lucy?
Yeah.
It was Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, and Morgan Rogers.
So those are the 3. Oh, do you think they were going to be the 3 that start for England?
Ooh, no, because Jude needs to start.
Well, you say that.
I know. Well,
I'm not disputing. I'm not debating that.
That's a good shout, to be fair.
But you know, we've seen Thomas Tuchel not pick Jude Bellingham. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even want to go down that route because you know what I think of Jude. So I'm going to back Jude all the way. All the way. 11 Jude Bellinghams will win the World Cup. Don't worry about that.
So many times you keep going, and I love him, and I back him, and you know what I think about him.
No, but I do love certain players. Do you know what I mean? Like when you like respect players, it's like, wait, we're getting away from who's your players?
My 3. I didn't realise we were going for the 3.
Okay,
no. I would definitely go Declan Rice. Obviously, I think without him in that Arsenal team, it's just a bit of a worry, really. Plus, I would have to mention Igor Thiago because I just think his impact that he's made in what is his first full season is just ridiculous. And it's not just the goal contributions, obviously. It's the physical side of things that he brings to the team. I think he pulls defenders away, which would then allow other teams, hopefully, other players a shot on goal. And you know what I also love about him? And again, it is a bias, of course it is.
No, I don't think you are being biased, though.
But I love his enthusiasm. He has a smile on his face so often in games, which you might think, well, why is he smiling if we're not winning, for example? He's just an infectious guy. I just think he's a happy guy a lot of the times. And when you see him celebrate post-match, it's like he's already got the club. He's like the other day against Aston Villa, he's going, this is Brentford. And you just think, yeah, it is. And you get it. So, yeah, so he'd have to be up there. And I do love Morgan Rogers.
Okay.
I just think he's a sensational player. But I would also mention an Arsenal, you have to have an Arsenal defender. So, yeah, I know that's 4.
It's really hard, though, isn't it? Because I feel like, apart from when Virgil van Dijk was performing to those levels, he was getting Player of the Year. It's 9 times out of 10 usually the attacking player, isn't it, that wins the awards. But I will say that, right? Usually, it's when the PFA comes out with the list in soon, like, I feel like it's going to be quite hard it's not going to be that hard this year to put the players on the list because there's not been that many standout performances, have there?
Well, the funny thing is no one's mentioned Erling Haaland and he's top scorer.
This is exactly what I was saying to Darren Lewis earlier. Like, what is it about Haaland? Because I love him. 20 goals. Yes, he hasn't scored in like 7. But like, why is it that someone like Haaland doesn't get?
It's an odd one, isn't
It's a really strange one because he's got all the everything to be a top. He's one of the best players in the world. No denying that. He's goal scoring, but it's almost like people don't give him the credit because he makes it look easy. But then when I'm watching football, and if I was growing up, I wouldn't necessarily think I want to be Haaland. But why is that? But I was the type of person that wanted to be Bergkamp or Zola or Di Canio. Do you know what I mean? Like, I liked certain type of players. But like Haaland, I don't think gets anywhere near the credit he deserves now, because this guy, since coming from Borussia Dortmund, has been banging them in left, right and centre. But like, why do you think that is?
I don't know. I actually don't know. Whether it's just because we're looking... This sounds ridiculous to say what I'm about to say, because Erling Haaland clearly is making an impact. But you sort of just feel... Maybe we're just used to him now. And we're just like, well, he's expected to do that. So he's got to do something exceptional for us to go, yeah, of course he's the best player.
But how does he overcome that?
I don't know. Other than scoring hat-tricks like every game. I don't know.
I mean, we've got to give him credit where it's due. He's unbelievable. I
Maybe
think
we
he's
need
brilliant.
to rethink our...
No, but it's true though. Everyone can get in touch. I mean, I'm not sure many people will say Haaland in their free, which is quite surprising because this guy's still going to win the Golden Boot potentially.
I know. Well, maybe you want to set the record straight for us. Do you agree with any of the picks that we've mentioned, or should we be considering Erling Haaland as player of the season? Because by virtue of stats, then you'd have
some
to
Fulham
go, yes.
fans as well are having Harry Wilson as well. I know some Fulham fans.
And I get that. Well, again, throw them out there. Let us find out. Who do you think your current player of the season is? 81089 is the text number. You can WhatsApp us on 03717 223344. You're tuning in to Kick Off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes, 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. Up next, we're going to focus on a crazy week in the WSL.
Manchester City intend to write to the EFL to request a rule change so that Mark Gahey is available for the final against Arsenal on the 22nd of next month. A rule change for this season means that players have to be registered before the start of the semi-final in order to be eligible to take part in the remainder of the competition. So Gahey missed out on that, didn't he? But Pep still needs him for the final. This was him.
I said to the club, they have to ask. Yeah, definitely. I don't understand the reason why I cannot play in the final FA Cup, Carabao Cup, in March when I've been here for a long time. So the rules to buy players on the players, what depends on me, depends the FIFA, UEFA, or the Premier League said, okay, transfer window is open. Once you hire a player, you have to play, no? In the competitions, logic is... I don't understand why he could not play today, but in the final, in two-man sound, of course we're going to try to ask to play because it's pure logic.
What do you think the answer will be?
No. To change the rule in something country, no way, but we will try.
Yeah, but all joking apart, why should they change the rules?
Well, look, I think it's a silly rule in the first place, but it exists. And you can't have the benefit. If you wanted Gahey as a player, you could have signed him in August and paid a full transfer fee. What you've done is you've been able to be in a position where Gahey comes available at a fraction of his worth. So you can't have it always. You've nicked him in a market. Some will say, well, you couldn't nick him. You paid 20 million with 6 months left in his contract. That's only because other people would have bought him. Otherwise, you'd have tried to get him for nothing, even less than that. So you've brought him in to supplement the team. The rules are the rules. It is not a conspiracy against you. If any football club was detailing the same thing, they probably would be greeted with the same response. If you want rules...
Good evening. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it is the former Lioness, Leanne Sanderson, who is with me, Natalie Sawyer, and loads of you getting in touch. Thank you very much with regards to your player of the season and the rule changes, which we will come to. But the Erling Haaland one has got a few people talking, and some are saying maybe it's because it's an anti-Manchester City scenario.
Yeah, like similar to Aguero. Like, he's one of the greatest ever Premier League. Like, but he barely made the best 11 in the Prem, didn't he? Do you remember when there was always like this list? It was a bit like De Bruyne went all those years without getting Player of the Month. Maya just made a really good point about the skill and the flair. Now, I think there is skill behind what Haaland does, but like Maya was saying, like, kids want to be skillful, don't they? Like, now it's not seen as a glamorous thing, but what Haaland does to me is a lot of skill, but he makes it look easy. So I wouldn't say it's like a bias towards Man City, but it's almost like, because Haaland is so good, people don't really like talk about him as being one of the best players in the world, when actually his goal scoring is ridiculous, and that is a skill in itself. So
yeah, I just think we've, as I say, maybe that we've just got so used to him doing what he does.
Because if he came over and didn't do well now, best believe people would be going absolutely mental, right? Like, he came over like a fish to water, and then like everyone can now praise him.
Yeah. By the way, very quickly, I'm talking on the subject of Erling Haaland. It was Adam who says, I'm not a City fan, but it is still ridiculous he didn't win the Ballon d'Or when they won the treble, for example. So yeah, there we go. More of that to come, but let's talk about the WSL, shall we? And Chelsea, which is just unthinkable, really, are effectively out of the title race after a 5-1 thrashing by title rivals and runaway leaders Manchester City last weekend. So what on earth has happened to Sonia Bonpastor's side, and how is the league shaping up? Let's speak to the Telegraph's women's football reporter, Catherine Batty, who joins us this evening. Catherine, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Lianne, you're right.
Well, I suppose we'll come to Chelsea in just a moment, but talk about the transfer window and how exciting it had been in the WSL. What can you tell us? What's been the highlights?
Oh, good question. I think Manchester United might have won the transfer window for me. I think they got their business done early. They've strengthened the team, which they needed to do. They've brought in experience, Leah Schuler from Bayern Munich, a renowned striker. They've brought in a younger player in Vangerheimer from Sweden, and they've strengthened it at fullback with Lundqvist as well. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing all these names right, but hopefully I am. I think the fact that they got their transfer business done early was really good for them, because it's something we've criticised Manchester United for in the past. And it was clear they needed to add depth to their squad if they want to progress in Europe, and I think they've done that. So I think for me, they probably had the best window of the top teams, definitely.
And I was quite surprised, Catherine, that, Sam Coffey is an Arsenal fan, so I was hoping she was going to come to Arsenal, but she's gone to Man City. Like, what did you make of that one? Because I was actually quite surprised that she left the Portland Thorns. She was their captain, and the fact that City were able to do this is quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's twofold. I think it shows Manchester City's ambition as a club that they can go out and get a player of her stature and convince her to join them over potentially another club. But also, I think she really wanted to come over to England by the sounds of it. She wanted that new challenge. She'd seen other US internationals obviously come over and play in the WSL and do well, and I think she wanted to experience that. And Manchester City at the minute are a club that are really well set up to have success, so I think that's kind of where they won her over.
Let's also start to I'm going to give City credit, because they've been unbelievable. Andre Jeglerts has gone in there this season. They're 11 points clear of the WSL, which is unheard of, because we know it always goes down to the final day of the season. But what is going on with Chelsea, Catherine? Because they have just been of late, I still back them to win I backed them many times to win the league leading into the season and the Champions League, because I said it's non-negotiable. We often talk in the women's game about not money being put into it. Chelsea certainly do that. But that game at the weekend, Sonia Bonpastor saying, the league was over the week before, that must have had some type of hangover on the players, because that's one of the worst Chelsea performances that I've seen in forever, really.
Yeah, you say that, and I think maybe it's because it is so early on in the season. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of Emma Hayes a few years ago saying it was done, and then obviously they came back and won it in the last few games, although they did get a helping hand from Manchester City, losing to Arsenal that year. But I think the fact that they were right near the end of that season, maybe it didn't have as much of an impact, whereas we were only in, we were still in January when Bonpastor made that comment to say that the league was done, as hard as it did look for them to win the title from that point. it clearly didn't help her players because they didn't show any sort of reaction at Manchester City. I thought Chelsea would come out and, try to prove a few people wrong, and they didn't do that, and they were well beaten, and something's clearly not quite right there at the minute.
I mean, I know obviously Lianne's pointed out that Manchester City are 11 points clear of Manchester United, but then it's quite tight for the fight for the rest of the European places. From what you've seen, and I know we've already talked a lot already about Chelsea, but from what you've seen of Chelsea, is it even conceivable that they could miss out on the top 3 place?
It's a real possibility, and they've got a really difficult game this weekend against the Tottenham side, who have had a very good season and probably smell a chance of getting a result against them, because maybe it's a good time to play Chelsea with the kind of low form and confidence that they're going through at the minute. I do think that Chelsea have still got players to come back from injury that can make a difference. I still don't think we've seen the best of Lauren James yet. I think when she gets into more of a rhythm, if she can get fully fit, she could make a real difference for them. Again, another player, Sam Kerr, just isn't quite at the level she maybe was a couple of years ago, which we probably weren't expecting her to be after she was out for so long. Aggie Boover-Jones still getting back to fitness as well. So once maybe Chelsea get a few players back, and once they get their next win, I think they can come back from this. But it is a really interesting battle for that. For those other places, because I think we assume Manchester City are going to go on and win the title, and then the 3 clubs battling it out for the rest of the places, they're all in Europe still at the minute. So part of it might be how far they progress in the Champions League this season, and whether that has an effect on them competing in the league to get into it for next season.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Something I wanted to get your opinion on, Catherine, is Spencer Morgan, Piers Morgan's son, sent a tweet out today, and it's not gone down very well, thankfully. And he said, we need to limit the amount the women play at the Emirates this season. Clearly can't handle the amount of games being played on it, and we need it to be perfect for the men's games. I mean, when he tweeted that earlier, I was thinking, please, 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 people disagree with him. And thankfully, I would say 99.9% of people do. And the Arsenal team have only played 4 times there, Catherine, this season. So, talk to me about this.
I think if Spencer Morgan wasn't the son of Piers, then people probably wouldn't pay much attention to what he has to say, and his tweet would remain in the pits of social media where it belongs. But unfortunately, he has a famous dad, so people sort of talk about what he says sometimes. But I mean, as you say, it's a load of nonsense, isn't it? And it's something we probably don't even really need to debate, because, I think Arsenal women's team have proven why they play at the Emirates with the attendances they get. And at the weekend, they got the club a pretty decent amount of prize money, which Tim Stillman pointed out is more than what Arsenal can win for winning the Carabao Cup. So I think that kind of sums that up, really.
Yeah, they've certainly been the more successful of the 2 teams anyway when it comes to Arsenal. Yeah, maybe you need to rethink that one, Spencer, anyway. Catherine, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, Catherine. This evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
And by the way, we've got live WSL action, haven't we?
I'll be there.
Sunday. A cracker as well. Arsenal against Manchester City. Live from the Emirates this Sunday with yourself alongside Ian Danta. Yeah, and it starts at midday, so that's one to tune into. That'd be great. By the way, this Saturday is also fight night in Liverpool. Nick Ball defends his WBA featherweight title in his hometown against the former 2-weight division world champion Brandon Figueroa. Don't miss DAZN's packed fight schedule with fights every week, including the highly anticipated rematch between Lee Wood and Josh Warrington. That's on February the 21st. And later that evening, live from Las Vegas, early Sunday morning, a high-stakes clash sees Ryan Garcia chase his first world title as he takes on Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight world title. You can watch all the fights and more only on DAZN.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
OK, you're tuning into Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes 18 and over, gambleaware.org. On the way next, we'll look ahead to a huge weekend in the Premier League.
don't mean that, man.
Okay, stop
man,
shouting at me.
let me get the out of here, bro. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Talking about my peoples and all that. It's hard to believe a black man and a white man. The cheated. Tell him to sue me so I can show the facts early. Because when the documentary and everything, the story come out, I'm going to show everything.
Fantastic.
I'm going to get all the people that know and all the people that's in the inside. He got people that the inside of him. That know. I don't, what? I don't about that.
I'm not a Fury
I don't about it. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. It ain't got to do with him.
Fair enough.
The you talking about?
And with that, he was out of there. How on earth do you reflect on that? What was he going on about?
Well, look, I mean, at the time, I was a little bit embarrassed because I thought the show's coming off the rails and it was a big show and Deontay Wilder's a big name. So I'm sitting there thinking I'm a bit embarrassed by it. Then I thought, he's a bit of a tit. And then I thought, is he on drugs or something? Or is this theatrics? And then I just came around to the conclusion that he's not right. He's not well. And all this ayahuasca stuff it's probably worked in reverse. I thought it was supposed to make you calm and zen-like. Listen, I didn't provoke Deontay Wilder by asking him a question that he didn't want to answer. I asked him a question about something he'd said, not something I was trying to engineer into clickbait. He called Tyson Fury a cheat. He's sitting in England. Tyson Fury, in some people's minds, is a legend in boxing. And so you're sitting in England. I thought, not unreasonable. Someone else asked him the question, and he didn't like it. And he can't answer it. So he gets all agitated and upset about it. He turns it into a debate about oppression. I mean, there's loads more that you didn't see. You know, he threatened to punch me in the face and talked about lynching and God knows whatever else. And I understand that he's got things in his life that have challenged him. But
Strap yourselves in for the roller coaster ride that is a relegation 6-pointer.
Great flick on, it's going to be through, and it's Calvert-Lewin again!
To be honest, tough run of fixtures, but we had already a few tough runs of fixtures, and even during this period, a bit surprisingly perhaps, sometimes we have collected many points.
Steps up, right-footed, and drills it through the middle of the goal and into the back of the net. And Nottingham Forest have come from behind.
I've had that recently where every game everyone's saying is key and they're all these big games, and they are. But every game should be that. I've told you endlessly about that. That's how I speak to the players about it. So another important game, always stuff going up there.
It's a proper relegation rumble.
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT, and it is an absolute pleasure for you to be joining us. And it's Lianne, Sanderson and me, Natalie, Sawyer, with you until 10. Just to bring you up to speed with everything that's happening live sport-wise. Now, France were 29-0 up against Ireland in this opening Six Nations match, but Ireland are fighting back. They've now got 14 points after scoring a couple of tries in this second half. We are 65 minutes now into the game, so still a bit of work to do, of course, for Ireland to get anything out of this one. But as I say, they are on the hunt and on the comeback as well. So 29-14 France lead. And in the only League Two encounter of this evening, Accrington Stanley took the lead in the 4th minute against Salford, and they still hold on to that lead. 1-0 it is. Alex Henderson getting the only goal very early on, which moves them up to 12th, and they're now 6 points off the all-important playoff positions, as Salford remain in 5th. But at one point, they were closing in on the top three when, I say at one point, 3 minutes into the game, and then they concede in the 4th minute. So hey-ho. But that is the situation in that League Two game. Lots for us to keep you up to speed with, and lots for us to talk about as well. Football-wise then, tomorrow night we've got bonus Friday night football, Lianne. A big one involving two teams at the bottom end of the table. It's Leeds taking on Nottingham Forest. Hugh Woozencroft is going to be in the hot seat for this one. He'll be alongside Jim Proudfoot and the former England striker Dean Ashton as well. 26 points both of these sides are on. They do both have that 6-point cushion to the bottom 3, but my goodness, it will feel nicer if one of them has 9 points, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, 16 versus 17. There's a lot of games this weekend that are really in and around there, like 6-pointers, as cliche it sounds.
Yeah.
I think Forest are probably in better run of form going into this game with regards to Europe. And obviously, the draw with Palace, beat Brentford. But Leeds last week, I was really shocked at that result against Arsenal. Like, fair play to Arsenal, because Ellen Road is a really difficult place to go to, and Forest will know that. But, like, this is how it's going to be, I think, Nat, till the end of the season. With those teams that are down there at the bottom, like, they're going to be kind of scrapping amongst it. But when they play against each other, that's where they have to pick up points. I think Forest's win against West Ham, last month was a massive win. Late on, but 3 points, that's all you need. And we spoke a lot about, Sean Dyche, priority is to stay in the Premier League, not Europe. We've done a lot of Forest games this season.
Well, when we were talking about the lineups that you put out in Europe, it felt like that, certainly.
Yeah. Massive game on a Friday night, so I'm looking forward to that one.
And when you say you feel like this is kind of going to be how it's going to be throughout the rest of the season, are you discounting then, say, Crystal Palace and Tottenham, who are just 3 points clear of Leeds and Nottingham Forest on 29, or are they actually sort of involved in this too? Or is that too big a gap? 9 points.
Palace have had a weird season because do you remember before Christmas, we were on with Darren Ambrose, and we're talking about, would you sacrifice a trophy, making the top 4? And then the drop-off has been crazy. But I also understand the drop-off, because when you've got the manager saying he don't want to be there and wants to leave, you've got players leaving, you've got players saying they want to leave that are still there. I don't put Tottenham in that category. I don't think Tottenham have been great, but I think they are too good to go down. Having said that, people said that about West Ham when they went down all those years ago. So they are in amongst it, but I do think Palace are definitely down there. I just think when you look at, obviously, Wolves, done. Burnley, nowhere near it. West Ham have been so poor. I think potentially Forest and Leeds could stay up based upon how poor the other teams are. But they'll have to, if they do stay in the Prem, they're going to have to be better next year. Forest is demise as well. You're looking at a team under Nuno Espirito Santo that was fighting for the top 4 and only just missed out on it. And now look at them. So, and they're balancing Europe with a squad as well. But I do think this is how it's going to be towards the end of the season. Like, it'll continue to be that way.
When you look at some of the matchups, and I'm going to bring in Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Igor Jesus into this one. And Jesus starting now to fire in a bit more regularly, shall we say, for Forest. He obviously scored against Ferencváros, wasn't able to get on the score sheet against Crystal Palace, but he's basically scored 3 in his last 3 for Nottingham Forest. Slightly different for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who scored 9 Premier League goals this season. Only twice before has he reached double figures in his career, and you've got to go back to 2020, 2021 for the last time that he did that. We're seeing such a resurgence, first of all, for Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, there's always been a player in there, but he's had so many injuries. He'd be injured constantly. And at Everton, I think they're really patient with him. But you can see he's got a smile on his face. He's enjoying playing football, and I feel like, Leeds are getting the best out of him. I think their style really does suit him. It's interesting because Igor Jesus, I was quite critical of his lack of goal scoring in the Premier League, right? But I think when you watch him live, his movement is incredible. And he's somebody that's very encouraging. He'll even encourage a ball that I wouldn't encourage. It was a poor ball. He runs the channels. He's always occupying the areas and causing a nuisance to the centre-backs. If you're asking me who I'd pick out of one or the other, I'd probably go Igor Jesus. But Calvert-Lewin, I mean, people are talking about him being maybe outside chance going to the World Cup. If he continues to perform, you never know. I mean, there is a spot up for grabs, let's be honest, in that, obviously Harry Kane will be there, but there's Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney, Tuchel saying he will play Foden there, but there's definitely a spot up for grabs.
Well, considering at one stage people were bringing Danny Welbeck into this conversation based on their current form, and as you say, the second striker, who is that going to be?
Yeah.
There has to be another option for Thomas Tuchel. Most will suggest it'll be Ollie Watkins, but if someone has a great second half to this season...
Yeah, Ollie Watkins ain't been great this year. I like Ollie Watkins, but he hasn't been great, has he? And the fact that we are going to a World Cup without somebody that's firing on all cylinders, really, for the second centre forward to come off the bench is quite concerning when you think about it in that position, because if Harry Kane gets injured, God forbid, then what?
Well, it feels as though for a long time, for the last couple of seasons, Ollie Watkins has clearly had to battle it out with somebody else. John Duran, Marlon, obviously, both players have now left, of course, Aston Villa. But it does feel as though he's not necessarily been that first pick every time by Unai Emery.
No, and I also understand that because beginning of the season, his form wasn't great. And, we were speculating, was it because he wanted to move away? He'd been linked to Arsenal, been linked to Manchester United. But ultimately, you have to let football do the talking. Now, he's out injured at the moment. And I like Ollie Watkins. So, hopefully, he can find himself again. And you know what it's like. He didn't score for a long period of time, then he scored 2 in one game. And then as a centre-forward, you'll continue to... A goal's a goal at the end of the day. If you're not scoring, and even if it hits off your shin or your shoulder, it doesn't matter. The confidence you can get from scoring. But yeah, I do think that, that the spot is definitely up for grabs, isn't it, with England?
It does feel like it. Going back on to the game at Ellen Road tomorrow night, then live on talkSPORT. Leeds go into this one having lost just 2 of their last 11 since the start of December. And as for Forest, they're unbeaten in their last 4 in the Premier League, their longest run without defeat this season. Is it a case of whoever wins this stays up, or there's still a lot to play?
I still think there's a lot to play. I mean, obviously it will help. And like I said, that result last week when Arsenal went there, that was a big result for Arsenal because everyone was looking for Arsenal to slip up because they hadn't been performing to so people's standards of late. I think Arsenal was still doing well, but they're not scoring in the way everyone expected them to. Ellen Road's a really difficult place to go to and to get that result. But I don't think this is based upon... It will help, obviously, in the relegation battle, but I don't think whoever wins this stays up. I don't think that at all.
And, of course, it helps that Burnley are taking on West Ham this weekend as well. So,
that's going to be a belter, isn't it?
Points are going to be taken off one of the teams, essentially, if not both, it's in some way. So it helps the teams who are above that bottom 3 knowing, well, one team can't come away with all 3.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
one team can, but both can't is what I mean.
Refreshing to hear Scott Parker last week after the game finally come out and speak and just kind of say, in other words, it wasn't good enough. Because I like Scott Parker. I liked him as a player.
Yeah.
I think, as journalists and media, everyone likes him. He's a nice guy. But he often doesn't not critique his team, because you don't want a player coming out, a manager coming out throwing the players under the bus. But it's always like, oh, we were good today, but it wasn't, excuses. And it's admirable backing his players. But ultimately, they've been nowhere near good enough. And they were nowhere near good enough when they come under Vincent Kompany as well when they came up. They were nowhere near it.
Just a quick one on Daniel Farke, because actually if you go back to, a few months ago, people were talking about he's on the way out. He's really turned a corner at Leeds.
He has. And again, this goes to show you, I remember there was a period of time, like you're talking about, that he seemed under pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think sometimes there needs to be a bit of balance, I think managers now, they're revolving door of managers getting sacked now, like left, right and centre in football. It's like almost making people probably not want to go into management. We're seeing so many former players retire and get big managerial jobs like that. Whereas before, we were talking about Sam Allardyce, Alan Pardew, Tony Pulis. I'm not saying go back to those days, Alan Kirbishley, but there was a lot of people that were on that conveyor belt of coaches, managers, head coach, whatever they want to be called. And now I just feel like there's not many managers. So yeah, Farke, fair play to him because, he weathered that storm. And I'm not really sure what people expect. This is a team that got promoted. You know what I mean? Come on.
No, and fair play, I suppose, to the Leeds board as well. Not listening to all that outside noise, believing that actually he could turn things around. So, Leeds picking up some form right now and going into this game with some confidence, no doubt, especially with Dominic Calvert-Lewin firing in the goals as well. OK, up next, we continue previewing a huge weekend of Premier League action, including our live commentary on Saturday. That's the 12:30 kickoff. Manchester United... Yes, your beloved Manchester.
Come on.
On the resurgence, taking on Tottenham. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
obviously, I don't think he feels particularly happy about his treatment, and spent a lot of time suggesting to me that a lot of people were very complimentary about his tenure at Spurs, and I went through a roll call of people that were very complimentary about him because he did a good job in my view. May not have won as many things as he could do and should have done, perhaps as Spurs as a football club, but as a person that's built a spaceship that maybe some other captain can fly to the moon, there's a huge amount of potential there.
Okay.
Can I go and do Deontay Wilder now?
No, you can't. We're sitting up in here in Newcastle. Steve Bruce is asking for you.
Is he?
I'm alongside Alex Crook and Gabby Bonlahor. You're waiting for Chisora and Wilder. Are we right?
Where are you, Simon? You should be up here in the northeast. You can kind of get past Watford these days.
I know. I figured to myself, do I want to go up to the north and get a nosebleed? No, I do not. So I stayed down here. And what I'll probably get is a nosebleed from Deontay Wilder if I ask some bloody saucy question.
Oh, good luck with him, by the way.
Indeed, have fun. I see Gabby's increasing the tone of the environment up there.
Simon, I've just found out that you actually said that the Saudis wouldn't buy Newcastle, so...
Oh, gee,
they did a week later.
Oh, gee, Gabby, nice to see you're current. That was 3.5 years ago, you clown.
Simon, just before you leave us, on the Tottenham Hotspur situation and the Levy situation, Levy reportedly in discussion to sell 30%, which would work out at £1 billion. Is there pressure on Daniel to sell to these people?
No.
From an ENIC perspective?
Well, no, not necessarily, because
Kick-off on talkSPORT with Leanne, Sanderson and Natalie Sawyer. And before we move on, just wanted to get your thoughts on this one. Leanne, news just emerging that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is set to travel to Glasgow tomorrow to finalise a move to Celtic. He's expected to sign a 6-month deal with an option to extend for a further year. He's been a free agent since leaving the Turkish side Besiktas in August. So Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Like that one?
Yeah. I mean, 32 years old. Obviously, when he left Arsenal, goes to Liverpool, didn't quite work out, did it really? But I like the fact that Mikel Arteta allowed him to come back to Arsenal and train.
Yeah.
He's been training with them. So I think this is a good signing. I mean, Martin O'Neill, why not? I know it probably won't be the most overwhelming signing for Celtic fans. I'm sure they're going to be feeling like they wanted a little bit more. But at the same time, there might be still a player in there.
Yeah.
Why not? It's worth a punt.
Well, and as you say, if he's been training with Arsenal, it means obviously he's keeping up his fitness, which hopefully then means, okay, he's not match fit as such, but he can go into that dressing room with knowing that he hasn't got too much to catch up on, hopefully. And yeah, we all know what he's capable of doing. It's just whether or not he can get back to playing consistently even. But interesting, nonetheless, that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain heading up to Scotland, it seems, to join Celtic. In the Six Nations, with around about 5 minutes or so to go on the clock, that is, France lead Ireland by 29 points to 14. In this opening match of the Six Nations. Remember, France were 29-0 up in this one, but Ireland are fighting back. And we are heading into the final minute of normal time in the League Two encounter between Accrington and Salford. And Accrington still lead that one by 1-0. We hopefully will be able to keep you up to speed with everything that is happening. Right, let's focus on your beloved Manchester United, who are part of our game day exclusive lunchtime kickoff on Saturday as they take on Tottenham then. 12:30 then, this one kicks underway. It's Faye Carruthers, Sam Matterface and, of course, the former England captain Stuart Pearce on this one. I mean, right now, you must just be thinking, it's a doddle right now.
Nah, I mean, it does feel nice to come in here in confidence. It's been a while since I've, because football, what was it earlier that Jack was talking about, the Newcastle fan, it puts you in a bad mood when your team's not performing.
For some, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, it makes you feel different, but I got an extra pep in my step, but at the same time, I'm not getting carried away. Okay. I do, you know what, a few weeks ago when I sat on here and I said to you all this stuff about what I don't like about the club, right? Off the pitch. And I said I'd back Michael Carrick, Jonathan Woodgate, Steve Holland, Johnny Evans. I'll back them because I'll back anyone at Manchester. I backed Ruben, even up until he left, because I just think managers get sacked too quickly. But I think what Michael Carrick has done, he's brought that love back to a lot of the players. I'm hearing that like the training sessions are a lot shorter but more intense. You know, I feel like I've seen more media access. I could be wrong, but I was saying to you before, like there's people allowed in the training ground watching Carrick train, you know, like it's on the TV, like you can see all these things. And I just think that game at the weekend against Fulham, people were expecting us to lose that game, right? 2-0 up, they scored 2. People thinking, oh, yeah, here we go again. Michael Carrick's doing what Sawyer did. You know, he's come in. And then for Sesko to come on and score that goal. Oh, unbelievable, really. So I feel like he's brought that love back. And I know people are reluctant to say, oh, you know, give him the job. I'm giving him the job now. I'm sorry, I am. Because I've said it many times, I have to have a word with myself. This is not the Manchester United of old. This is the Manchester United of now. And Michael Carrick is doing a good job. It is not the same as when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there.
Okay.
And he went on that run and we're like, I don't come from a place when someone's a club legend, I instantly think they should take over. I don't come from that place. But what I know what he has done, some of the performances that we have had have been some of the best I have seen.
This is what I want to ask you then. What has he done in such a short space of time? He's won his 3 games in charge. So what's he done?
Put players in their positions. Forget the back 3. That's not the issue. Players like Dorgu, who I was critical of, and you know he's only had a couple of good games, but Carrick has put him higher. Yeah. He's done well. Bruno Fernandes is also higher. You know, Harry Maguire's playing out of his skin. Credit to Harry Maguire, because there's been times where people have criticised him, including myself, because he wasn't performing when he first got to Manchester United. But he could be in a shout of going to the World Cup now. I know Adrian Durham's a massive fan of Harry Maguire, but like he's been sensational for Man United, and all the players look like they're on board. Now, my only scepticism is that I've seen this before, where new manager comes in, does well, then the players resort back to type. But what I'm seeing is Cunha's coming off the bench. He said, "I don't want to be on the bench," but you know he loves the club. You can see how much he loves Man United, kissing the badge. Sesko's coming in. The players know their roles and responsibilities. And at the same time, though, I am really disappointed that I feel like the players didn't do more under Ruben, because some of the players do have to have a word with themselves now, because they look like they're down tools, let's be honest. And then Carrick comes in for 3 days. Mic drop. Carrick comes in for 3 days.
Mouse drop, I think you'll find.
And then, like, you know, we have this worldie of a performance against City, Arsenal. But like I said, Man United fans are not getting carried away. Like, we've still got a long way to go.
Is that why, in a way, when we're seeing Casemiro sort of step it up, it feels?
Do you know what? Casemiro, people have said to me, like, do you think they could tempt him into staying? Like, I think, no. I think, like, it's the time. Right. Yeah, but they have to, obviously, bring in other players. But shout out to Kobbie Mainoo, who's not played football for a really long time, only started 1 game under Ruben, and to come in and perform like he has at the intensity of the Premier League in those games. You know, it's not like he's coming into a game against a Wolves or a West Ham, no disrespect to them. He's come in against City and Arsenal, and he's been amazing. So, you know, and Wermo's been brilliant, and all the players seem to be, he seems to be getting the best out of him now. So when people are saying, don't give him the job, I'm thinking, well, if he continues in this way, why not? Why not? Because for me, I have a bit of PTSD of like, if we bring in someone else after Carrick, who's to say they're going to do well and we could go back to square one?
Yeah, I'm sure there is the hope maybe from Michael Carrick that it could lead to the job. You never know. But equally at the same time, it probably is best to just say, we'll just take it as
I'm giving it to him. Sorry, I'm probably one of the only people that says that.
But they're taking on a Tottenham side, who, as we know, are sort of struggling in the league. They've done all right in Europe, having got through to the last 16 in the Champions League. They are unbeaten in the last 8 meetings with Manchester United in all competitions. But they don't particularly... they actually do fare better on the road as well than they do at home. So are you worried in any way about this being a banana skin? We saw what they did against Manchester City, 2-0 down, 2-2.
Potentially, only based upon whenever we've played against them. The statue just ran out, and I've been at the games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and at Old Trafford where, you know, they seem to always get the better of us. But I think this is a different Man United side. I think Tottenham, right? I mean, it doesn't help when, obviously, depending on... I know the fans didn't mind Romero coming out and speaking, but all those things, there's a lot of toxicity at Spurs at the moment. So, and that can have an impact. I do believe, though, Romero coming out and speaking actually backs that, to me, is an indirect backing towards Thomas Frank. Because, you know, he's almost saying we haven't had enough players, so therefore it's not really Thomas Frank. That's how I read it.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what the club think of that, because he'll probably pick up a hefty fine. But Spurs are in a weird spot, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Thomas Frank has repeatedly said it's an internal issue that they're dealing with, but he didn't want to say any more than that. On that. But there is positives in that Mickey van der Ven, I think, is expected to be back. Obviously, Dominic Solanke's also returned from injury. So, in a way, Thomas Frank is starting to get back the players that he hoped to be working with all the time this season.
I hope that he gets more time. And I only say this with the players that come back, like Kulusevski, Maddison, those types of players. Richarlison's now out injured, but obviously he was there. Bentancur, Bergvall. Like, if he has a full squad, then you don't know. I mean, you've seen him more than I have, Nat, when he was at Brentford. And I know Brentford are a different entity than Spurs. There's more pressure on him at Tottenham.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of the Tottenham fans are not having him. And I do think it's inevitable that he won't be there. I do. I can't see him being able to turn it. It's so toxic that I can't see it being turned.
I do know what you mean. I think he hasn't been given the squad that he wants, in the sense of a full squad that aren't injured. You know, when you're missing some key players from early on with James Maddison, some of the creativity that they're lacking. I would love to see him get a bit more, but I understand that the style of play has not been what Tottenham fans want. But we'll see what happens. By the way, very quickly, just to run you through, Accrington did beat Salford 1-0, which moves them 6 points closer to the playoffs. And France scored a late try against Ireland to seal a 36-14 win as they begin the defence of their Six Nations trophy. Don't forget, as always, we've got a jam-packed weekend, keeping you right up to speed with everything that happens. talkSPORT 2 will bring you 3 championship commentaries this weekend, including 2 on Saturday, plus a huge WSL clash between Arsenal and Manchester City at the Emirates on Sunday. And we've also got 5 games in the Premier League at 3 o'clock, where Game Day Live with Adrian Durham will keep you up to speed with that. There's also a 5:30 kickoff, Newcastle against Brentford. The Game Day phone-in will keep you up to speed with that. And then 2 games on Sunday, Brighton against Crystal Palace at 2, and then Liverpool against Manchester City will bring you updates on talkSPORT. Loads covered for you. Lianne, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks,
Lots
Natalie.
of fun as well.
Brilliant.
Coming up next here on talkSPORT, you've got the Sports Bar. The lads are waiting for your call. Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara are up next.